It's being ran by the Utah either cops or sheriff, but it's still being commented on and obviously overseen to a certain extent because Kash Patel has been commenting on it. He was on the ground in Utah. This is not like it's fully autonomous for the Utah police. So when someone like Kash Patel comes out and he says, at this time, we see no reason to believe that anyone aside from Tyler Robinson was involved, this shit matters. The fact that they would turn Charlie Kirk's cell phone over to his widow without running down all of these leads and making sure that they're all dead ends is a terrible injustice. And some people were replying to me and they're saying, well, what if Charlie had 2 cell phones and she's looking at the cell phone that's not his business phone or whatever? It's like, first off, I doubt he had 2 cell phones, but assuming he did, okay, well then she would still not be able to go on a PR tour and start to claim that, oh, I've got Charlie's cell phone and he didn't say that, so these people are, Candace Owens is a liar. It's like, well, you're lying through obfuscation, right? Or other people were saying to me, well, what if the investigators actually took the cell phone, they copied the data, or they took whatever data off of it and basically wiped it and then handed it back to her? Well, then that would still make her a liar because she's going on Glenn Beck and she's saying, I have his cell phone, these text messages did not happen. If she's sitting there with a blank phone, she can't honestly say that because she would have to honestly say, if she were being honest, that I have his cell phone, but it was wiped, so I have no idea what his communications consisted of. But that's not what she's saying. What she is saying is explicitly, I have his cell phone, these messages didn't happen, which is a lie. And again, I'm not accusing Erica of being involved. I have no idea if she was or was not. All I'm saying is, when you watch her, there is a level of insincerity that jumps off the page. I don't know if it's just that she's totally in over her head, which seems likely, and she's just completely incapable of taking on this task. Like, they need a real smooth operator, and preferably one who is actually capable of telling the truth. She has already demonstrated to me, and I think the rest of us, that that's not she can't do this job. She comes across super.
Alright, what do we have to do? We need to get bronze. I think we did this.
At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one
we need 30 bronze. I don't think we have enough bronze.
She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building a business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Big smile, and then this slow turn into a grimace as she's talking about Candace Owens, and stop. It's like, no one's buying this. I'm sorry. You look, I'm sure you don't like Candace Owens at this junction. Why would you? But it just doesn't come across as, like, it's just not sincere. It's not like, even if you're genuinely upset with Candace Owens, it's not a sincere way of talking about it. It comes across as if you are acting.
I've never seen anything, like Charlie Kirk's funeral. I prayed for that for 20 years, a revival. I prayed. I stood in that room and I felt the Spirit of God. I've never felt anything like it before. A miracle, a Moses-sized miracle. The same thing with you. I've never seen anything like it. What's happening is players are being put on the field. You are sifting, right? You're being sifted. And where are you coming out? Are you going to be on God's side? Or are you going to be on evil? And I don't think people realize that.
And you got to love the audacity from Glenn Beck there. So are you going to come out on God's side, or are you going to come out on evil's side? Hi, Glenn Beck. Former huge fan of yours, by the way. Love the chalkboard era. Totally red-pilled me. Setting that aside, you were the guy who was hosting Erica Kirk as she lied to your face. So when you get upset with us for asking these questions, when you get upset with us for calling out lies and duplicity and obfuscation, why are we not on the side of God? Why is that not the side of godliness, those in pursuit of truth? Why are you giving softball interviews to someone who's lying to you and not even concerned with the fact that you're clearly being lied to, provably at this junction? Like, but you're on the side of God? Interesting.
When people look at Erica and say she's acting strange, I've never seen a greasy person act this way. Well, I agree. She's an exceptional person in an extraordinary situation, handling it with remarkable poise and dignity. That is a virtue, and virtue is a strange thing in our day. And even if she were not an impressive person,
what the heck? I have some berries here. Oh, I guess they're not grown yet.
She would still be my friend's wife. And I would still feel duty-bound to support her, as I have over these past 3 months in ways both public and not. So, what I am asking everyone...
What? That was boning Erica Kirk?
...is to please leave this woman alone. Let her grieve.
I just can't with any of this. Look, I like Matt Walsh, broadly speaking. I think he does decent work, but what are we talking about here? Look, I've been very, very reticent.
And it's funny because he can't really say that. He's trying to say like oh, don't stop attacking Erica Kirk, let her grieve. But she's putting herself in the public arena. I mean, you can't do that. You cannot put yourself like she's, bro. Before that fool passed away, she was nobody. Nobody fucking knew who the fuck she was. All of a sudden, she's a fucking celebrity, and well, now that you're a fucking celebrity and you're going on TV and you're going on all these different shows and you're fucking, acting like you're doing a tour, you're doing tours and shit. People are gonna criticize you, and that's what it's gonna happen. So, if she wanted to fucking grieve, she wouldn't be all in the fucking public eye. You know what I mean?
Trying to basically make things better because she wants to carry on Charlie Kirk's legacy, and she views TPUSA as that.
And that's bullshit. If she really wanted to take on her husband's legacy, she would maybe just do like a right person and hire somebody that's similar to him. Like just hire somebody that is in the public arena already, like a true manager. But instead, she wants to be the celebrity,
That does not change the fact that we need honesty. And if Charlie Kirk was indeed your friend, which I believe he was, you should be equally concerned with any sort of deceptiveness when it comes to this case or this investigation. And unfortunately,
so we're trying to get copper right now.
Friends, and I would include you in that category.
I've really mined a lot of this area, so we're probably not going to see any. But
this is a major, major mistake. And unless Frank Turek, and Colvett, and Flood, and Candace Owens,
but I'm over here trying to
TPUSA are all lying. It seems like she's
find berries at least, because we need a lot of. I've been needing to go get berries for a while now.
He's fearful for his life, or those text messages were deleted somehow, in which case she's lying because she's sitting with a phone that doesn't show anything and just pretending as if she's able to disprove Candace Owens' claims. It's a problem either way, and this is not, as I said earlier, this is not minor. It's major. It's about as big as it gets. In some ways, it's bigger even than the text messages that Candace Owens reported on in the few weeks after, or about a month after, where she showed that, in fact, Charlie Kirk said they're living up to all those stereotypes and he has no choice but to leave the pro Israel cause. That was a major potential angle for a motive, but this is a potential angle for actual overt threats that he is facing actively leading up to this event. Most notably, the day prior to his actual assassination. It doesn't get much bigger than that. It's not a smoking gun, but it's the next closest thing. And if you think that that's not a big enough story that we need to demand the truth from the CEO of TPUSA, setting aside whoever it is, you've completely lost sight of the truth or justice when it comes to your friend. And that's a problem. I'm going to end it there. I've been watching tons of YouTube. He's going live tonight too. Check his shit out. That guy's awesome. And Baron Coleman, who's I've been deep diving on his content, and he's like blowing my mind. He did this multi-hour stream a couple days ago where he's going through his flights that went into Colorado Springs, into Huachuca or whatever, Arizona. And it ties into the Candace Owens claims about the insider who basically ran into a bunch of high-level lieutenant generals that had, I'm blanking on his name right now, but the lead security guy, or one of the top security guys for Charlie Kirk, basically meeting with military. And basically, Baron Coleman didn't say it, but he was implying heavily that he thinks that J.D. Vance was actually on that plane to that meeting, and he thinks that J.D. Vance may have actually attended that meeting. He didn't say it. That's me reading between the lines, but it gets real heavy. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty basic compared to the angle that Baron Coleman was running down. But anyways, I invited Baron Coleman to come on the show. So if you'd like to see that, if you're mutual fans of both of us, please do just flood his chat. Go on Liberty Lockdown. Clint Russell's a good guy, because maybe he doesn't know me. But I think that would be a hell of a collab. So hit the like button, subscribe, share it around, and most importantly, stay after this. Don't allow these people to shame you into silence. Yes, she's a widow, and yes, I have tremendous sympathy for her and her kids, but a lie's a lie. And a lie about not just an angle for a motive, but also for like active threats in the days and weeks, but really the day prior to his assassination, is as big as it gets. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Do I have to fucking justify this? It's so obviously pertinent at the highest level, and we're just like, well, she's a widow, so who cares that she lied? It's like, dude, I'm not gonna stop, okay? Simple as that. All right, we're out of here. Oh, go to mypillow.com, promo code lockdown. Love you guys. Oh, and I got shirts. Hit the description. Check the description down below if you want to pick up FAFO shirts.
Oh, here we go. We found some.
We did it.
Copper.
We got them. America first and fucking only. I'm not gonna make like any profit off this, or I don't know if I'm making any profit. I just had
Okay, I will be very honest. I am in a bit of a mood today. I am just annoyed with everybody. I'm annoyed with this entire psychological operation that is so obvious, and I just feel like we keep going round and round in a circle with the government. Whether it's COVID, the Ukraine war, it's like the entire media apparatus and establishment is joining hands to condemn people for having common sense. So I'll ask you a question to begin this. Do you feel, show of hands, okay, that the answer regarding who killed Charlie Kirk and what happened on September 10th is quote-unquote very clear? Like, even if you are somebody who's on the side of those who do believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger one way or another, would you ever describe what happened as well? I'm guessing your answer to that and I guess this is kind of the final stop. I'm hoping it's the final stop of this PR campaign where they are now pivoting and bringing Erica out to signal to the public that we can't question her judgment, right? Because she's a widow, we can't question her judgment. And I want to say that I reject that. I reject emotional manipulation. I want to give people at home the permission to avoid a trap of thinking that you have to arrive at the same conclusions as Erica Kirk, especially when the story that we have been presented thus far makes little sense, if any sense. It makes, I think, virtually no sense. To that end, later on in the show, we will discuss Tyler Robinson, who has now made his first in-person appearance in court. And I guess the good news there is that we know he exists. Welcome back to Games. Let's just start with the talking points. Let's join the members of the press and the influencers, okay? Here's what we're saying. Let's be influenced. Talking points. There's a bigger mission at bay. We need to focus on a larger, bigger mission. Another talking point. It's going to ruin the trial. You guys keep thinking that things don't make sense, you keep ruining the case. And the final stop, of course, of these talking points is this is an illness, right? There's something wrong with you at home if you don't find what we are telling you to be true. Trust us, okay? You're meant to be. What we are looking at right now is a badly run PR campaign. I am saying that it is badly run because it's recognizable. A good PR campaign is not recognizable. A bad PR campaign is an obvious one. And I am going to request respectfully, I know it's not going to be honored, I'm going to respectfully request that all of these Agent Smiths in this obvious matrix just stop, okay? This PR campaign, it's been nonstop since Charlie was shot. It was honestly dead on arrival. We do not trust this, we do not believe this, and yet we are wildly kind of in this position where they're testing to see how many times they can say the same thing before they convince everybody else at home that it's true. Okay? Their equation that they seem to be running, if it's that formula, is talking points multiplied by 10,000 talking heads must equal results. Okay? They believe that with enough of an echo, they can override basic instinct, basic intellect, really. There is, I want to be very clear, nothing that feels right to me about the Charlie assassination, and especially the way that some of his employees and friends have been living since that assassination. And I'll correct myself. I am very sorry that offended you. Genuinely, I am sorry that there is no amount of increase in pressure and propaganda and headlines written about me that are going to convince me. And by the way, I'm just the conduit, right? You're attacking me, but you're angry that also the masses have not accepted this. There's not a number that is going to convince the masses that his neck, human neck, stopped a 30-06 bullet. Okay, and not even just stop the bullet. I also want to be clear here. It's not just that they're saying that it ricocheted and it stops, and this would maybe be the first time in human history. And please, if you do know a story, got an old article, I don't care where it's from, if you saved a newspaper article from the early 1900s in your family of an example, I don't think that bullet existed then, but like of a 30-06 being stopped by a human neck, please present it. I'd like to show that it is possible, right? It is actually, this happened one time down in Texas, it's possible. But not only are they saying that they stopped it, but I want to remind you that there was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well, okay? There was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well. So it didn't even cause a lot of, damage as it went in. It just cleanly went in and then ricocheted downward into his stomach. I'm frustrated, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but Erica's, it's now being teased, the interview with Barry Weiss, it's being turned to town hall, and Barry is obviously just a Tel Aviv agent. Her entire background story, her rise, her studying in Tel Aviv, her family ties, the hand of Midas pulling her through the ranks a la Jeffrey Epstein. Despite her sub-average intelligence, she's not interesting. She somehow becomes a chief over at CBS News. Right, this actually, what I'm saying about Barry Weiss, this gets into Tucker's quote-unquote problematic speech at SAS when he jumped on stage and basically asked that question. How are all of these subpar people becoming billionaires? The rest of us have to work forever. They're not interesting, they're not talented, and they just seemingly are just getting all of this money and opportunities offered to them. This is clearly not a meritocracy that we're living under. It feels more like, and I'm saying this, more like a cartel. Okay, Barry Weiss is actually one of the people that we should study when it comes to being unimpressive and just getting handouts anyways. Like it's like welfare. I feel like she's on welfare. Like we all have to work and she gets promoted. And she's gonna be unimpressive in this clip because that's her default. She can't even convincingly ask the prepared, loaded question that she is going to deliver to Erica. And this question, like I said, has likely, by the way, been reviewed and marked up by lawyers, but she still is not even convincing, despite having it ahead of time in this delivery. Take a listen.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Candace's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
So this is just to me. I'm going to also let you know they pre-recorded this. Obviously, I told you this yesterday from about 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. I have sources just everywhere, CBS News, people that were in the audience I showed you were emailing me, and they had to do multiple takes because Barry wanted to read a prompter. These questions were pre-submitted, okay? And I would like to respond to this loaded question. What would you like to say? The podcaster Candace Owens, and I'm not even going to address this.
The funny thing is, this chick, Candace Owens, claimed that if the wife asked her to stop, that she would.
All of the money.
But now she's so geared up, she's so like, you know, on fire about it that she's not going to stop, and it might not end up good for her because
they want to convince you that like you wake up and you turn into a millionaire.
I think the people that she's fucking with, they're like,
I already had this business.
they're dangerous. Obviously, they're dangerous. They killed this guy.
I actually did because it's so ridiculous. Okay. But she says, I'm lying. And Eric responds, and the answer to what do you want to say to the podcaster Candace Owens who is lying is stop. So Erica would like me to stop lying. And I would like to honor that, okay? I can only honor that if Erica is more explicit in terms of what I have lied about.
See, so now she doesn't want to stop. Now she's starting the fight with her. Now it's gonna be Candace Owens versus Erica Kirk.
Like going through them, maybe they will. By the way, it's coming on Saturday. Maybe I've made a mistake somewhere, and I'm happy. I want to correct that, right? I'm not.
And instead of, you know, it's funny. It's weird that Erica Kirk, because they were supposed to do a podcast that was going to address all the questions that she's bringing up. And they were like, you're welcome. They're all trying to be all nice and everything. They're like, you're welcome to come to the podcast and debate with us, you know, what you believe in, what we think, what we're doing, you know, like, and
his father also said he called his father first.
Rob
McCoy was confused.
I don't know, they're supposed to do that. I don't know what happened with that, if they had that talk or what, but they were supposedly trying to figure out if, like, a time that they could both be there, you know.
Charlie never wavered in his support for Israel was a nasty lie. Maybe Barry wanted to, like, what do you want to say to people that literally lied about what Charlie was living through in the last weeks of his life? Stop, Josh Emmer. Stop, even Netanyahu. No, I'm sorry. Barry Weiss is here. We're not going to get to that. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. Did I lie about that? Nope. Turning Point USA lied about that. I was attacked for telling me. I'm attacked for catching the lies. We'll get to that later. That's their new method. Once first they accuse me of lying, then I prove I'm not lying, and then their strategy is to attack me for telling the truth and saying, how dare you reveal a personal text message to defend yourself from being called a liar.
Beautiful.
We can keep going here. Has any of this been clarified? Ben Shapiro said they never had any bad blood between them. I proved that was not true. Again, that also came from a little PR. Alex Clark pulling that move. Next page. Terrell Farnsworth was told to remove that SD card by police. That was not true. Terrell Farnsworth personally told me that was not true. Terrell removed the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Again, not what Terrell Farnsworth himself told me. And also doesn't make any logical sense, because if you were worried about theft, you would have taken the cameras and not just the SD card, particularly from behind his head, as opposed to the cameras that were in front of him. Lie. Charlie established a Doge, and it was not unusual. That's a lie. It was unusual. Doge didn't even exist prior to Elon Musk making that a thing about government accountability. Charlie Kirk's team did not fly drones. Major lie. Brian Harpole told that lie. Brian Harpole also told a major lie when he said that the security had communicated with UAE police to secure those rooftops. That was a lie. It was actually a walkway behind. What am I getting here? What have I done here in this presentation that I lied about? Have I made mistakes along the way? Yes, I'm not perfect, and I will always adjust those mistakes. So I'm asking you to tell me what I lied about. Why is there not this same energy also for the feds? Because they told some lies. We got to list those too. We put that together. We would like some clarity. Again, Charlie being shot with a 30-06. The lover text messages, mysteriously presented without any timestamps, lying about how Tyler Robinson was arrested. They claim that he confessed and turned himself in. That's not what happened. That he said he was guilty. His father said he was guilty. That's not what happened. He never revealed that Tyler Robinson was at the Dairy Queen following the assassination. He was throwing clothes away, as I presented to you guys, in the cemetery. That's problematic to the timeline. We'd like some clarity. That's an oddity. They said Tyler Robinson was arrested wearing a maroon shirt. That actually was also not true. They said Tyler Robinson was suicidal, but also turned himself in because he was afraid of being shot by police. Those two ideas seem to be running into each other. How can both of these things be true? Do you want to die or not want to die? Maybe there's an explanation. It's definitely odd. And the footage was seriously missing of Tyler Robinson turning himself in. And then, of course, there's just like things we can't get answers to, which is the Egyptian planes, tracking Charlie, following Erica throughout years. They said they're laughing at these things. So what am I lying about? Explicitly lying about. Not made a molecular or minor mistake. We got a time zone wrong. And then it's like, she lied. The plane left a couple of hours earlier. Maybe somewhere I made a mistake on a timeline of Charlie being here on this day when he's actually there on that day. But I'm talking like, where am I lying? It's like, I would like to stop if you can tell me.
Oh my god, we gotta get some wood. But I did plant a lot of wood right here, so... Wait.
By the way, to be clear, I am also telling the truth. It's not my opinion that these questions were pre-selected. It's a fact. It's a fact. Insiders' questions were pre-selected. And one of the pre-selected questions was for Erica. This will come out on Saturday. Setting the stage for her to condemn anti-Semitism. To which she responds and speaks about, as I told you yesterday, how we're going to be hosting a Shabbat dinner. And in case the direction of travel for CBS under the stewardship of Barry Weiss is not clear, they even brought in, during this town hall, the father of the young woman who was shot in D.C. at the Jewish Museum. I think that was an IDF soldier. I might be wrong about that. They also brought out Hunter Kozak, who asked the last question to Charlie Kirk. They filled the audience with people selected by CBS, College Republicans, with questions selected by CBS. So it just is objectively a controlled and managed situation. Controlled and managed conversation. But, we look at this. You are at home this Saturday, and you watch this, and you're just, a regular old person around the world, and you go,
come on. When they fall in the water, we can't really get them.
Evil. Demonic, even. How dare you? Question, what? Are you kidding me? This is like, you're not allowed to say that this feels scripted, ever. This entire thing since September 10th feels scripted to me. That's not it, okay? We're going to get more because Erica also sat down with Willie's TV. Now, again, this is all a part of a PR blitz for Charlie's upcoming book on honoring the Shabbat, which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian. So I'd like to already just say no, okay? Anyways, Glenn Beck's interview has a bunch of high points, if you will. Foremost, Erica stressing that she believes that the truth is clear. Take a listen.
I don't know how you handle this, Erica. I don't know how to be dragged into, all this crazy, evil stuff.
Oh, it's sick.
God bless you. God bless you. It is.
My family means everything to me.
Jonathan Rosé has always been in our life and has always been so good to Charlie, and Charlie was good to his team. Everyone loved Charlie. I get that. Everyone wants...
Clearly not everyone.
Everyone wants an answer to this evil.
And you know what? That one right there, that's a lie right off the bat, bro. That's a lie right off the bat. Everyone loved Charlie. Bro, so many people hated that guy.
So I just wanted to say
There was all these people that were in the schools, all the like fucking transgender LGBT people.
this just feels to me to be
And he used to come out and try to talk about all this shit, and they used to fucking go out there and fucking talk shit to that fool. They'll be like, oh, fucking hate you, and all kinds of shit. Like, they used to call him all kinds of names, you know? Like, they try to force him out of the colleges because they didn't want him in the colleges because they didn't like his message or whatever. And, I think they used to call him bullshit, like, or a liar or some shit, you know? But, I don't know. I never watched all that shit. But it's not true that they all liked him. He had a lot of people that didn't like him.
Romanian charity. I've seen people looking into her mother. All of that. I've seen all of that. But I have not yet seen.
I mean, if she was being honest, she probably would have said something more like attuned to what their position was. Like, you know, he may have had some people that disagree with him, but Charlie Cook was a good man. You know, like, she could have said something like that, but instead she's like, everybody loved him. That's, I mean, that's kind of a fucking straight up lie right there, just on its face. Like,
which is, okay, if we don't want to answer any questions, we're just going to say you don't understand.
Like, she sounds like she's in a movie. Like, when she sounds like she's in a soap opera, or she's in some kind of movie, or, you know, like, she's in a drama film, you know? Oh, yes. Like, she's talking like all, like she's fucking just defeated, you know?
It's a real thing, Glenn, and you get this. A lot of people don't, and I think that we need to do a better job of educating our citizens about our court systems. A lot of people don't know how an actual trial plays out. I am very curious about how the United Healthcare case plays out. We are living in a day and age where social media can absolutely impact. I feel it can. The reason I say that is because I don't want a tainted jury pool. I want justice for my husband. Anytime we have leads, anytime.
And then now she's, yeah, that's another thing, is she's like going hard on this kid, whoever they're saying is doing it, but
involved in my husband's murder. None of us. Turning Point USA, myself, any of these other crazy accusations, none of us.
Okay, so this is what I mean, where I
just we smelted everything already.
The same thing over and over and over again in politics, where you can just apply any situation. Like, this is how it starts. It's like they come up with a narrative, and it feels really stupid. It applies to COVID, whatever. And then people start asking questions because it feels really stupid.
What the
and then
fuck?
They tell you,
Where's
like,
the 30?
I wish you guys were more educated about
I just
science.
fucking smelled
I wish
like
you guys were
30
more
of that.
educated about doctors and nurses, and like, you're just not there.
What in
I wish
the
we could
fuck?
explain to you how these things work. You have to trust the experts.
Dude, every time I get stoned on this
yeah,
shit, I just get really forgetful.
Think that also, because you guys are not trusting the experts, we're going to have to censor people on social media, as they did during COVID, because social media is problematic. Actually, the problem is free speech, ultimately, right? Like, the problem is that you have people on social media who are talking common sense, and they don't understand
You
this.
should have way more copper. I had 30
that's
copper.
Like, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, and it shouldn't work for you. And this next portion is where we get into the mass formation psychosis elements, which is when they're trying to modify our behavior, the behavior of the masses, and they kind of want us to all form around this idea. And this is kind of actually we're all in this together psychology that you're about to see, right? The higher calling element of the psychological conditioning. You guys are focusing on the minutia of that day and whether or not the government is involved with assassinating Charlie Kirk. But, you know, Tim Pool's telling you guys midterms. There's midterms and there's things. That's the higher calling, right? The masses should get around that higher calling. Like, even if it goes against your gut to mask your toddler, even if it goes against your gut to let your grandma die alone in a hospital, even if something is screaming at you and you're saying, why does this all feel abusive? Like abusive to toddlers, abusive to our grandparents, let them die alone. Why does it feel to me, my instinct tells me that we shouldn't put medical masks on toddlers who can't see expressions? Well, the higher calling is that you should always ignore your gut, right? Because we're all in this together, and there's something bigger that we can aspire to. You should violate your gut instinct, and that's what's coming next. Take a listen.
I don't need you to comment on this, but I think mental illness is involved in some of this stuff that is online.
Yeah,
I think it's really,
and Glenn,
honestly,
I'll be honest,
I feel bad.
I am not going to waste my time.
30
I'm
iron,
not
10
gonna waste my time
skills. Oh, I don't think we have the skills.
Combating people,
Fuck, this is the hardest part.
calling people names. I just.
Man,
that's
it's been
just
taking
not
forever to
me.
do
That's
this.
not how Charlie operated. There's no reason for me to go down a dark place like that. I'm so tired of the fracture. What drives me nuts is that Charlie, he has worked and provided and has blessed us with so much, like literally his book. He has blessed us with so much wisdom, so much, he's just such a good thought leader. He blessed us with laser focus on the mission, on saving this country. Instead, we're so focused on who did what. Like, yes, we will figure all that out. Yes, this is a murder case. He did not die in a car crash. Yes, that will be handled. But my husband's legacy is not about his murder. My
Damn it, dude,
husband's
the
legacy
chicken.
is what
That
he left
sucks.
behind.
I just reject that. Okay, I reject that there's a higher calling that we need to all get around, and the legacy of actually the legacy, if we find out that the government is implicated, and it looks like to me, and I think a lot of people on the outside, the government is implicated, otherwise it wouldn't require every department of the government using propaganda to convince us against common sense, okay? And if we find out that the government is implicated, then actually his legacy is going to be that a person who gave all of himself to helping people get elected, all of himself to this political machine, was ultimately killed by it. And I think that matters to a lot of people. And I think it's obvious it matters to a lot of people because what feels like $1 billion campaign of propaganda against it doesn't seem to be working. There is something very big that we are very close to unpacking here. And the panic that we sense right now in deploying what feels to me to be a really nasty emotional tactic here, basically trying to say to people, how dare you go against the grieving widow? How dare you go against David Hogg, right? And you're like, well, I don't know if David Hogg, I know I'm very sad, obviously, that a school shooting happened. The Parkland shooting at high school should not happen. No child should have to live for that. But why does that mean David Hogg gets to go to Harvard? Right? Does that make sense? Like, does he belong at Harvard? And they go, oh, how dare, how you evil, demonic person. Are you possessed? How could you ever question his authority and whether or not he's equipped to run the charity and speak on, gun issues? He survived a school shooting. That's what they're doing right now. And I want to also say that why I don't love these interviews, and I say this with great deference to Erica, and in the beginning with some of these interviews, I said, look, like, of course, they're going to want to make sure they screen these questions. Like, she's going through a lot. Like, she's transitioning, she's doing this. She's like, I was like, I wouldn't want to be in her position. We're 3 months in now, okay? We are still getting rehearsed answers, and I feel like what is missing from all of this is, I don't know, like, passion, normal passion, not this, like, chat GBT feeling of, well, we all need to unite around the mission. It's like, no, I don't really care about cash. I would just be, like, What is the borough doing? Has anybody traced this down? Okay, I don't know if Candace is crazy, but she says the French Foreign Legion was there. Has anybody chased this down? I texted her, I got this information. Okay, it's wrong. That's a dead end. Leaving over here, I've got files. I'm gonna run this investigation alongside you, Cash. And I don't know what he's doing. I want like one critique of the FBI, one critique of anything which the public is saying is worthy of critique. Like, it's almost like you're dressing down public perception. Like, people think that you can have enough money to just cut over people's gut instincts. That's what it is. It feels like we're so rich, you don't have the right to think. Okay? We are rich enough to remove that. So stop thinking. The elites are here. It feels elite. That's why I hate this. It feels elite.
For real.
It feels like the opposite of whatever turning point felt like when they were the underdogs, right? This entire presentation is elite. I'm on CBS stage with pre-packed questions and Barry Weiss, and I obviously have rehearsed this answer because I got these questions ahead of time. I obviously know I'm gonna get asked this, so I'm gonna do, like, I don't even like, and this is a fact, you can ask anybody who's ever interviewed me. I never ask for questions ahead of time. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the direction it's going into. I never give them anything. I never say we can't talk about this. Nothing's off record. Because even getting questions ahead to me, preparing answers, feels fake and gay. Right?
Faking and gay?
That just feels rehearsed. Because it is. It has to be rehearsed. You've got questions ahead of time. And at this stage, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want something that feels anywhere where it feels authentic. Like one question mark that you have. You're like,
Can we even spare 5 iron?
I don't know about those text messages. I think Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. But the text messages are weird. It's just, I
think we can.
My team.
We got 30. Let's see.
And my favorite date is April 24th. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. And all you need is a light jacket. Like, it feels fake. It does. I'm sorry. And I am still interested in getting basic answers to our questions. I don't accept that that's somehow going to ruin the court case, because that's a nonsense. You cannot logically explain to the public
5
how
bones, 1 trophy.
letting us see Mikey McCoy's phone records, just one example, if that's really causing you so much grief. Here they are, here's who we called on that day and for how long. How would that implicate, how would that frustrate your lawyer's efforts? How would the current court case and the jury pool be impacted if you answered about why these Egyptian planes, why it's a statistical anomaly for these Egyptian planes to be surrounding Turning Point USA, Faith events, you and Charlie this many times? How would that impact, and again, I'm a gut player, it's common sense, so forgive me for not being elite enough and educated enough and expert enough to understand how it would impact things. Explain it to me like I'm not a legal expert, you know? Like, I don't trust legal experts. I think they're all full of shit. Explain it to me that way. It's not tracking. It's not tracking, and I get it. It's me against the whole world. Actually, it's not. It's me against the elites. We've done this a lot of times. Like I said, Ukraine, COVID. There's a formula here, a pattern here. If all of the mainstream apparatus and all of the influencers are pushing something and calling the other thing evil,
they're kind of hard to catch, so I've made a bracelet that makes me run faster.
Like, I just got it wrong. I shouldn't have told you to get
because I'm kind of slow, and then I have my axe. I think the axe should kill him in one hit.
That what happened on September 10th, we are not getting the truth out. We will be back after a few messages from our sponsors. All right, you guys, when they double down on abortion, we have to double down on supporting life. Through our partnership with Preborn, we can help save babies and support mothers that are in need. Every day, Preborn's clinics rescue hundreds of babies because when a mother sees her baby on an ultrasound and hears that tiny heartbeat, her chance of choosing life doubles. And now, thanks to a generous match program, your gift will be doubled as well. That means twice as many ultrasounds, twice as many lives saved, and twice as many mothers that are given hope, with diapers, car seats, and counseling provided, and care for up to 2 years. If you heard about Preborn before and you have not yet taken action, there is no better time to do so than right now. Your work is some of the most important work to help heal our country. One ultrasound costs just $28, but you can obviously give 10 times that amount if you're able to. Head to preborn.com/Candace to give. Again, that is preborn.com/Candace. also reminding you guys about PDS debt. Because whether you are
Motherfucker,
struggling
bro,
with
this
credit
fucking
cards,
rabbit,
personal loans,
dude.
or medical bills, PDS debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and to craft a personalized plan that is designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score that's required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it
They're
belongs,
kind of hard
in
to
your pocket.
catch, man, those
PDS
rabbits.
debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. It boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google, and it holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. Every month you wait, it will cost you more interest and fees. The best time to start was probably yesterday. The second best time is right now. Don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you by visiting pdsdebt.com/Candace. Again, pdsdebt.com/Candace. That's the vibe. We are too rich. We are elite, we are rich, we are powerful, we have connections, and you guys are just beneath us. There's like a moment of feudalism here. Like, we are the lords, and who are you? Who are you? We can afford this, and we're gonna keep pushing and until you believe what we say happens, even when it just makes no sense. It's frustrating. Like, I'm frustrated by it. And again, I have been clear. I think Tyler Robinson was involved on that day. I think there were multiple people that were involved on that day. Obviously, most people were involved. I think he took clothes and hid them in the cemetery or whatever next to the Dairy Queen. But I don't think that he was on campus that day. I do not believe Tyler Robinson was on campus that day. And I would just also like to point out how easy it would be for them to give us anything believable. How would? Help me out, guys. Again, I'm not a legal expert. Glenn Beck understands this stuff, but who am I? I'm so sorry, Glenn. I don't explain it to us. But I don't understand how if they just released a video of him taking the shot, because there's video of that, how would that ruin their case? How would that not support their case, actually? And also support their case with the public? Like, that would be the first thing I would do, rather than try to deploy this propaganda effort. You could just present something solid, like something that isn't flimsy in this entire thing. And I think that would be my call. I would just be like, let him go. There you are. Happy for you to see it. He took the shot. And you're going to see Tyler Robinson jump down. And it's not going to impact our case, because how could it? It's open and shut. He wrote out his entire confession. You're seeing the footage. Nope, they can't do that. Well, guys, I'm happy to learn Tyler Robinson's not alive, because, I mean, it's been so weird that we just can't say anything about him. Obviously,
Man, right when we found a spot with good rabbits.
He finally appeared in person. He made his first in-person court appearance. Kind of seemed like he was smiling. I did not get the energy of someone who is worried about getting the electric chair. There's nothing really to add here. There wasn't anything that really came out of this hearing. Everything is obviously very preliminary at this stage. This is going to take a long time, but we're obviously hoping that they are going to allow transparency and accessibility to the case by allowing the media in there. Media organizations, even for this case, are requesting a transcript of the hearing, and hopefully we will have more. But he exists. In other news, or things that I'm frustrated about, is just more than the people who hate me and are dedicated every minute, because apparently they're allowed to get clicks off of my name. I'm not allowed to talk about what I want to talk about on my show, but they can talk about what they want to talk about over and over and over again on their show. But I reserve more contempt for the people who don't have the courage to just hate me and instead try to hide behind Bible verses. There is something that deeply and spiritually bothers me about that. And chief among them is Allie Beth Stuckey, okay? She presents herself, like, her brand is squeaky clean Christianity, does a lot behind the scenes. She's hired like a monster PR agent. Anyone will tell you that. There's not a single Daily Wire host, Matt Walsh, Michael knows, nicest people ever, Brett Cooper, nicest person that will defend Allie Beth Stuckey's current PR agent, who is just literally hell-bent on advancing Israel's cause by any means necessary, like by sending someone to follow me after I was no longer employed there to try to make me look bad on camera. She keeps files and cuts people out of context and then sends it to people like Ian Miles Chong. I mean, this is a bad person who Allie Beth has hired, but we're supposed to believe Allie Beth is Christian. Anyways, I do want to point to this because she's now, no, it's always biblical, so you can never question whether or not she's just being a mean girl and using Bible verses to qualify being mean. But yesterday, we peaked because she's now moved to being a teacher and letting you know that not trusting the mainstream narrative actually is, it's a rhetorical device that was used during BLM. Let's just read her post here. This really annoyed me, and even further, the comment section annoyed me. But she wrote, in 2020, we all became familiarized with the Kafka trap.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh. Trick wherein you insist that someone's denial of an accusation proves their guilt. You're denying you're a racist because of your white fragility. It's a way to make your arguments irrefutable without ever having to provide evidence. BLM uses this tactic repeatedly, and now Candace has taken a page out of their book. Anyone, including Charlie's own wife, who pushes back against her conspiracies are only doing so because it's a psyop. They're getting paid. It couldn't possibly be that people sincerely disagree with her methods or can disprove her faulty logic. Active, albeit dishonest, way to solidify yourself as the only champion of truth. Now, first and foremost, this is a very unfortunate example for her to use BLM, saying that 2020 taught us that many people fall for this type of thing, because the truth is, most people don't want to think. Actually, Allie, ironically, I actually did the documentary on BLM and George Floyd, and the lessons of the George Floyd movement was that the entire media, plus
man, this fucking, oh god damn this,
suspend rational thinking.
What,
and
man?
Use emotional arguments, right, to get you to stop looking at a corrupt charity. I can't believe she used this example. It's like, there's nothing more that could be in my defense than saying, oh, remember what happened in 2020? Yeah, I do remember what happened in 2020. The media lied about George Floyd. They lied about how he died. A video went viral. Every influencer posted black squares,
we need the mandibles
racist,
from those
that you were with
guys.
them or you're against them. You were evil if you didn't understand how far racism had become. And then little old me did a video, and I disrupted this narrative by telling people the facts about George Floyd's background, his record. I then did a documentary on it, and I revealed to the world that the media actually is to blame. Like, they will collude with each other. These are powerful organizations. They can make something go viral. They can make evil look like good and good look like evil. That is actually the true lesson of corporate structure
on, dude.
Versus really just
I'm just having the worst luck with these rabbits. They're not easy to get.
And dared to question that narrative, okay? Now, my issue is that when people push back on her, she just pulls out the Bible, okay? Like, for example, this is in the comment section. Somebody wrote to her because she's been sniping at her, and it's been very mean girl-esque. This person wrote this on Instagram. They wrote in the comment section, you keep inserting yourself into this topic, but you never add any real value. So what is the agenda for you here? Candace wasn't mean to you when you inserted yourself the first time, so mean girl energy? Like, that's a fair question. She does have mean girl energy. Then she says, over it. I comment on the news. Charlie was a good friend. No one commenting on this story is inserting themselves any more than Candace is. You don't see value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically? And, like, that sentence. I want to read it again. You don't see the value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically. And that's okay. My content is not for you. How does that not just make your skin crawl? I don't know, like, does that not make your skin crawl? Just be snipey and petty. Stop using the Bible as a shield for what you're doing, okay? That woman accurately called you out. I don't know her. Thank you for saying it's very obvious what you're doing. To come back and say, I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. She is like Salve Regina George, right? Like, Mean Girls was fine because we all knew Regina George was mean, and she was so proud of that. Allie Beth Stuckey has the same, like, tactic of attacking people, sniping them, and then she's like, I'm sorry you don't like the Bible. I actually do like the Bible. You know, I haven't made Christianity my brand because I'm a Catholic, and I don't believe that women can be priests and should be playing the part of pastors. I believe that if I have a question about the Bible, I should go to my priest, not to Allie Beth Stuckey on Instagram. But what I can say to you is that a main takeaway is the truth. You should commit yourself to the truth. And Allie Beth Stuckey has gone through great pains to cover up for people that are lying, okay? No one worse than Josh Hammer, okay? Josh Hammer explicitly lied about Charlie's state of mind. He went on multiple podcasts. He called me a liar. He never blinked on Israel. If I did not release that text message, that would have been the narrative. If you are a Christian and you purport to have been a good friend to Charlie, that's low-hanging fruit. To say what Josh Hammer did here was wrong, okay? She said she's a good friend to Charlie, but when similarly I came out and said a thing about the Catholic faith, if you were a good friend, wouldn't you have said, you know what, Alex Clark? That whole little episode saying Charlie only liked architecture for what it's worth, it wasn't true. You wouldn't be running PR for her. If you were a friend to Charlie and you were committed to truth, then when Ben Shapiro lied and said that he never had any issues with Charlie, and I said that's not true, very, very much not true, why is your reaction every time that I expose the lie to attack me? That's what she does. I'm going to show you a clip. All of these people have been caught in verifiable lies. And let's be clear, they attacked me first. I never came out and attacked these people. I just said, oh, the Catholic thing was cool, and I was hoping for that. Or, as Ben came out and said that he was good with Charlie or whatever and was doing a show. That's not true. That actually is not true. And all these people just attacked me for saying, oh, he had some issues with Israel in the end. Watch Allie, how manipulative it is that she is going to defend those characters who are lying and say that it's problematic that I am telling the truth after I've been lied on. Look at this clip.
She's released a bunch of texts about Ben, between her and between Charlie, and, you know, basically saying that they didn't like Ben very much back in the day, 7 years ago. And I just will say, like, yeah, I would hate someone to, like, after I die, to reveal texts like that, like, between us, because those texts didn't make Ben look bad. They made Charlie look bad. They made Charlie look bad.
So
and, like,
manipulative.
That's
She's
your
so
friend.
manipulative.
That's your friend, man. And why? I mean, it makes him look petty. And I'm just not sure, like, what that revelation really accomplishes. She's also criticized Lila Rose heavily, and she's kind of questioned Lila's military connections, I guess because her husband is a veteran. She has questioned Alex Clark and Alex's decision to talk to the Wall Street Journal a week after Charlie was murdered, and Candace claimed that it would make her feel icky to speak to the media 1 week after Charlie's death. She did do a CNN interview a couple weeks after Charlie died, though. And I just want to say, like, I know Alex and Lila really well. I know Seth. I've known Ben over the years. I know Josh. And everything I know about these people is that they are kind and genuine people. And I don't believe that they deserve at all to be implicated in this way.
I don't believe that they deserve to be called out when they're lying. I think it's fine that they attacked her. I think it's fine that they lied on her. The ugly thing is when Candace stands up for herself and brings receipts. So she demands evidence. There's no evidence. I present the evidence, and then she says, you know what? Showing that text message from 7 years ago to prove that while Charlie was coming up, which is what I said, that's why it had to be from 7 years ago, obviously, that's the crime. That doesn't make Charlie look good. You telling the truth and not allowing a bunch of people to grift after he dies by pretending they were friends with him and had no issues, people that literally tried to stop him from coming who he became, allowing Alex to just lie about where he was while you purport to be a friend of Charlie. You mysteriously didn't know about the mass stuff, the Catholic conversation. The issue is me telling the truth. That's what she's saying. And in every episode, and she's done many, she always uses the Bible, okay? She uses the Bible. So how could you question it? Do you not like the Bible? I'm sorry if you don't like the Bible. Should I do that every episode? Should I say, I'm sorry if you don't like the Bible, I'm the Bible? So I just want to say, even these people that are lying, right? Well, the Bible says that I don't think it's fair for you to call out my friends when they're lying. That is naked tribalism to the Judeo-Christian cause. that is what she cares about. She is a Zionist, and she will defend people who are Zionists, even when they're caught lying, and that is not friendship. That is dishonesty. And like I said, you should be ashamed of yourself to quote scripture, use scripture, manipulate well-meaning Christians to believe that it is
I think we have enough of the rabbit skin.
It should be their Christian position to
I'd like to try to get this
call
one.
out lies, to not fight lies, just allow them to happen. That's I don't like that at all. And like I said, I have special contempt for the people who come in the name of the Lord.
Got him, finally,
That's worse
man.
than just hate it. You can hate me for free. You don't got to hold up a Bible with me. Take a quick break, and I will get to some of your questions. All right, I tell you that me and my team love Paleo Valley beef sticks, specifically their meat sticks with 100% grass-fed beef.
Oh my God, did I still not mark this base, man?
Here in America, so that you can feel good about what you are eating and what you are supporting. They've stripped out all of the junk. There's no preservatives, no gluten, soy, sugar, dairy, or GMOs, just clean, nutrient-dense fuel, the way that food was intended to be. So whether you are road tripping, working late, or running around with the kids, these sticks deliver high-protein energy without the crash. Whether you're keto, paleo, carnivore, it does not matter. Paleo Valley works with your lifestyle, not against it. They come in multiple bold flavors, including original, jalapeno, summer sausage, maple bacon, and teriyaki, so there's something for everyone. With over 55 million beef sticks sold, Paleo Valley is trusted, proven, and backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee. Right now, you can get 20% off your first order at paleovalley.com/Candace. You can use code Candace at checkout. That's paleovalley.com/Candace, promo code Candace at checkout. Also reminding you guys about home title lock, because if you are a homeowner, you should probably know the FBI has been warning homeowners about a type of real estate fraud that's on the rise, which is known as title theft. This type of theft does not happen by breaking down your doors and stealing your stuff. It happens with a simple one-page document with a forged signature that then gets filed at the county. Your title, which is the record of your home ownership, gets transferred to the county. Criminals are using your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your property. And you won't even know about it until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so that you can protect your equity and find out today if you are already a victim. And you can use my promo code Candace at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does occur, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million fixing it for you. Again, that's HometitleLock.com, promo code Candace, or you can use the link in the description below. Butterfly writes, and I should actually first, let's read the top comment from the last episode. This person wrote, Issa Rae wrote, Erica Kirk will forgive someone 1 week later for murdering her husband, but she won't forgive someone for not believing the FBI.
Whoa.
Definitely feels different.
Wow, that's weird.
That want to get to the truth.
That's suspicious.
Than it does for the person who she believes killed her husband, and I don't believe that is the person who killed her. I just don't. And you're allowed to disagree with Erica. You are, and that's fine. She's allowed to think what she thinks, and you're allowed to think what you think. That's what I want you guys to know. Don't allow this strategy to stop you from standing by your convictions. Butterfly writes, Candace, you mentioned several times that if Erica asked you to stop, you would, in fact, stop. Will you honor her request? Please stand by your prayers to you. I was very clear here. Erica asked me to stop lying, and I will immediately respond by that request. Candace is lying. What do you want to say? Please stop lying. Comprehend what I don't comprehend to lie about. Have I made errors along the way? Yes. But as soon as she tells me what it is I've lied about, I will cease lying. Further to that point, this person writes, the pro-fed slop flavors. 1, you said you would stop if she asked, so stop. 2, she's jealous of Erica marrying Charlie. You see through this PR, keep pushing Candace. That's another thing that I want to say. It's very obvious to me that was part of like the dress rehearsal, right? Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna say stop, look into the camera, and say stop. And then we are gonna have all of these paid influencers be like, look, Candace said she was, where's the stopping? And now we've got all these bots saying it online. Again, it's obvious to everyone what this is. So why do you guys keep doing it? Like, was there a test that was done and you did see that it would take X amount of influencers to say the same thing and before someone broke? What's the purpose of this? It could not be more obvious. It's because you're doing too much. It's just like during COVID. You were just doing too much with the vaccines, right? Soon we're gonna get that, by the way. The last thing we need, now that we've done the emotional, you're gonna kill grandma, and why don't you care about grandma? You want grandma do you want grandma and grandpas to die? We are soon going to be offered stuff to stop talking about it. You know, when they give out coupons, they were, if you get the vaccine, free Popeyes.
Wow.
Don't go back. Free Popeyes. Who's lining up? Okay, we'll give you 50% off of McDonald's if you vax up. Okay, if you don't go max, that's what you're gonna get. That seems to be the next. They got to give us a financial incentive to.
Oh my fucking god! Come on.
That everything was above bar. So above bar, they won't do even the most basic things that they could really try to convince us. Speaking of discounts, if you want a regular copy of my book, Make Him a Sandwich, for 20% off, you can head to makehimasandwich.com. And we also ship to Canada. And signed copies, CandaceOwens.com. The book is available on Amazon. And yeah, I guess this Paradise is now she's building her career off of, what are you talking about? What are you actually talking about? I already had a book. I already had the same merch. I had all of this already happening. What is new here? What is actually new here? You're just saying stuff. You can't just say words. And it's sad that you need a teleprompter, by the way, Barry, for that. I mean, come on. You need a teleprompter for that. So performative. And it's not passing the test for anybody. The gut check. We have a comment here from Alicia Yance writes, most can only dream of a friendship like yours and CK. As you said in 2018, the story of me and CK will be one for the ages. My hope is that our story will be about smashing limitations, a story of loyalty, trust, and imprinting the world if fearless enough, end quote. I don't even know where I said that. That was the original Go Max. I love to see that clip. Yeah. By the way, to the earlier comment about seeing that too, she's jealous of Eric. Like, what are you talking about? When Charlotte and I were hitting the road together, just so you guys know, here's a fun fact. I had a boyfriend. I had a whole boyfriend that entire time. It was just never, I was nowhere near Charlie's type, and Charlie was nowhere near mine, okay? That was just a little brother. Truly was a little brother, and we had a lot of fun together. So that is ridiculous. That weird push is reeking of similar desperation. Similar desperation, because I think we're getting close. I think this is all reaction, as some of you have pointed out in the comments from yesterday's episode, that suddenly we started talking about Pierre and that $1 billion incentive, and they went crazy. They started going max. So we should stay focused on our investigation.
30 iron, 20
Cassie
bronze.
writes, I am sorry, but I am just not understanding Erica's responses. It does feel
30
elite.
iron.
People with power and money trying to hold on to something taped together with lies and deception. And attacking people
20
for asking valid
bronze.
questions. Yeah, it feels like they rule over us. And they don't care. They don't care at all. And they want us to know.
I hope
that they
it's
have
not
these
20
connections,
fucking
and that
rabbit
they know media
hide.
honchos, and that they have the best PR firms, and that you're evil and you're demonic, and for wanting to make $100 a day.
Nice.
You're making videos on YouTube about
So we're all
ballistics,
maxed out.
thousands of dollars a day.
We're all maxed
You're
out as
making
far as
videos
we
talking
can
about
go
something
on
you're passionate about,
on that table,
which are state-sanctioned lies. Whether that
which
be
is
Brigitte,
great.
the Coming Brigitte series. Don't forget Coming Brigitte. Nobody was talking about that in the West, in the English-speaking world. It's an obscure topic that I got passionate about. And what is Brigitte saying in court? What is he saying in court? Oh, she's doing this for money and clicks. It's always the same arguments. For money and for clicks. But when they make the videos accusing you of doing it for money and clicks, they're not doing that for money and clicks. They're doing that because, well, if you want to know about the
I
Bible,
made
you
another
don't
weapon
wanna know
too. I
about
kind of
biblical
want
stuff.
to
That's what I'm here
upgrade
for.
it.
My content's not for you.
All the
My
weapons I
content's
have are
simply not
all maxed
for
out,
you.
I think.
I will find a proverb. I'll pluck a proverb from the Bible and start using that. Maybe that will make it make sense for some people. If I'm a fraud and I say, oh, well, what we can
Oh
extrapolate
no, we don't
from
want to do
this
that
biblical
one.
text is that 30-6s don't stop at the next, then you just have to accept it because it becomes biblical. I have a comment here from Diane. She writes, why do they have to tell us the color of Tyler's shirt, maroon? Why was that important to highlight? I didn't even think about that at the time, but there is obviously an angle here, and we are still working on it, that the Maroon Boys, as I pointed out, they're now trying to say, that's so crazy. And apparently they also mentioned the Maroon Boys in Erica's propagandized piece that's going to come out with Barry Weiss. They're going to mention the Maroon Boys because their strategy is, this is so crazy. But all the men in the military are like, no, Candace, that's not crazy at all. That represents Air Force. And also that 10th Brigade, it turns out their color, the 10th Mountain Brigade, maroon. So we're on the right track, and we're going to keep pushing. We can't keep calling everybody crazy and thinking that that wins the argument. Laughter, elite laughter, like they're just in their private.
We need to cook some more of the other stuff.
Egyptian planes. It's elitist and scrappy. Anyways, you guys, there is a documentary that is available on our website, What a Woman Is. And it's an interesting, it goes right along with the book that I wrote, when you learn the history of feminism. And I say this as someone who thought I was a feminist when I was young. Then I learned the history and where it comes from and witchcraft and all of this stuff. It's quite stunning. I'm going to show you guys a little preview from this documentary, What a Woman Is. Take a listen.
It's been answered simply. A woman is not a man. But in our age, it's never been answered with any specificity what a woman actually is.
The main thing that people need to grasp is that patriarchy is...
I thought I saw a recipe for the serpent steak.
No choice between patriarchy and no patriarchy.
Feminism is one of the key elements they had to do first to bring about all the other revolutions. So whether it's the 60s counterculture revolution, or whether it's the biological trans revolution, all of that had to be preceded by the feminist revolution first.
In marriage, the reason you can't have mutual submission is because there will be times in which decisions have to be made in which the wife and the husband do not necessarily agree. This is why ultimately, in the end, the husband has to be the head of the household and make the final decision.
Scripture does not give us a safe place from the directives of God.
So any woman who's truly feminine, according to a feminist, is degraded.
What sucks?
Are you interested in knowing what the truth is? Are you willing to submit to the truth? Now you need to be ready to change whatever plans you think you had. You have to decide what kind of woman you want to be.
Hoo-hoo.
You know, I wrote the book Making a Sandwich because once I started looking into the history of feminism, I was shocked. If you are a feminist, or you're like, oh, I always thought it was about equality between the sexes, which is what I thought. That was my default public school setting. Dig deeper. Challenge yourself to learn the history of the feminist movement, and what he is saying there is true. That was the first revolution that had to happen in order for all the other ones that came behind it. And of course, it is government sanctioned, CIA. Actually, a lot of homosexual men are behind it, if I'm being explicit. Anyways, that documentary is now available on our website. It is free, obviously, if you are already subscribed. And if you want to just watch that,
oh my God, I
and
burned
not
my food
subscribe,
color.
maybe it's not a good economic time for you, you can just watch that on pay-per-view for $1.99 if you're not a subscriber. Okay, just a couple more comments here that I am going to read. Ben Marquez writes, my contribution to your hundreds and thousands of dollars per video. TPUSA's response to all of this is feeling very trust the science, and the cast is just as likable and believable as Fauci himself. Go Max, we're behind you, praying for you always. Thank you for saying that. I also want to be clear, my beef is not with Erica. That is what they're pushing now, that if you question it, you're up against Erica. I've been the same Candace since I got into politics, right? When I stood up to my own community regarding BLM. It's so much like this happening right now. feel like I'm standing up to my own conservative community in a way, because what we were told just wasn't true. It wasn't true. And the government was involved in hiding the facts. And the people that were benefiting the most were inside of the very charity that called themselves Black Lives Matter. And they were implicated. They were implicated in greed and corruption and lying and misrepresenting facts because they were motivated by that. So, same Candace, new year, same Candace, different topic. I'm always standing up to, I guess, pop culture, and that's what they're trying to say. Like, TPUSA is now popular because we have enough money to make it so. I don't care. I've never been mainstream. I've constantly been swimming against the mainstream my entire life. Like I said to Charlie in that message, I've always felt like an alien. I don't understand the rules here. I don't know why it's required that I be fake and gay to live on this planet, okay? But I can't do it. I spiritually can't do it. So what is next? What is the next thing? We've done the fake Bible stuff. Now we're doing the grieving widow. How dare you, Greta Thunberg? How dare you question anything? We've done the evil, demonic. We've done everything. What is next, guys? Okay? We'll figure it out. We'll see you tomorrow.
Alright, after this set of meat, I need to take some meat out to defrost in the kitchen. Alright, I'll be right back.
One of the things Maine has going for it is its water. We have great water. When you pump water and you truck it somewhere out of the state, that water's never coming back.
Water is big business in Maine, and this is a reason. Every year, Poland Spring pumps about 1 billion gallons out of Maine's aquifers. That's enough to fill more than 1,500 Olympic-sized swimming pools. But the places where they're extracting that bottled water from are drying up.
We had our fire team driving around with water and giving people water to drink and to shower.
As locals have fought the company's deals, Poland Spring has waded into state and local politics to keep profits flowing.
This is definitely a David and Goliath fight.
You're working for Poland Spring opposed to working for the people?
So we went to the communities where your bottled water comes from to hear from the people closest.
How can they say it's not having an impact?
We don't even exist in their mind.
And we found that people are anxious about the future of their most valuable resource, and pissed off at the company that's bottling so much of it.
Take away the water and you don't have much.
You want some of this? Okay.
Alright, let's go.
Nina Fuller is a sheep farmer who lives in Hollis, Maine.
I think it was maybe 15 years I was here when the drought hit and I ran out of water, and then a couple years later I ran out of water again.
Maine is one of the most water-rich states in the country, but in recent years, it's seen an alarming trend. This year is the fifth in the last decade where much of the state has experienced significant droughts.
They drink a lot of water. It was a problem because I would run out of water. And you can't just open up a bottle of water and stick it in.
Oh.
It's a 15-minute drive from Minnesota.
Grandma.
It's the largest facility for bottling water in North America, operated by Poland Spring.
It may be the best tasting water on Earth because nature is there to protect it.
I burned so much food, man.
Poland Spring can extract up to 238 million gallons of water. But in 2022,
It takes so long to cook this meat. It's like, ugh.
they wanted more.
I went to the town meeting. There were some really pissed off people.
After residents found out, they backed up.
Poland Spring had asked to double their water. It just seemed crazy.
Poland Spring says their operations have no impact. That Maine gets enough rain every year to replace whatever the company is taking from us. But most of the benefit is immediate. In 1992, Swiss company Nestle acquired Poland Spring along with several other regional bottled water companies to become one of the leading players in the market. You probably know some of these. But wherever Nestle went for water, trouble followed.
Nestle is accused of stealing California's water.
Michigan is now
under fire for approving a plan to allow the company Nestle to increase the amount of water it draws from the state.
In Nestle's case, they are trying to get water from Ginny Springs and not even pay for it.
In 2021, Nestle spun off all of its bottled water brands into Blue Triton, a company backed by private equity. After Blue Triton bought the brands, their pumping around the country increased, including in Maine. This October, the company announced that due to the drought, it was reducing pumping from its springs in Hollis, Kingfield, and Fryburg.
The company didn't specify by how much, but adds it monitors aquifer levels daily.
But we found documents that tell a different story. The towns of Fryburg and Denmark get monthly reports about how much water Poland Spring is taking. The reports show that in September, when Poland Spring said that they were reducing withdrawals from some sites, including Fryburg, the company actually drew more water from Denmark and Fryburg than they did in September 2023 and September 2024.
My property borders their property.
Peter Nielsen and his friend Chris Doyle live near this pond in Denmark, close to one of Poland Spring's sites.
You can see water should be where we're standing, and you can see that it's nowhere near what it used to be.
So far this year, Poland Spring has pumped nearly 64 million gallons out of Cold Spring in Denmark. Poland Spring says that pumping doesn't affect the water level in the nearby pond, or the water supply of people like Chris who live outside of what's known as the zone of influence. But several years ago, Chris moved into a small house on Petersburg. They dug a well for her to get water.
We finally hit a spring, and we figured, all right, we got water. And all of a sudden, it was dry. And we paid attention to when Poland Spring was pumping and how much they were pumping, and they ended up pumping more at that time when mine went dry.
Chris says the town told her that there was no way Poland Springs operations could impact her well. But a few winters ago, there was a bad snowstorm.
They couldn't get their trucks out to pump the water, plus there was no power to pump the water. In that 24-hour period, my well went up 24 inches.
So there's a lot that we don't know and that we rely on them to report, and sometimes there's a real lag with that reporting.
Denmark allows Poland Spring to pump up to 105 million gallons of water a year. The company pays the town just $34,000 a year in property taxes.
We can do what we can on a town level with our ordinances, etc., but if there isn't the will, it doesn't really happen. I do believe it needs to come from the state level.
We sent Poland Spring a list of questions, and we asked why they pumped so much in September when they publicly claimed they were cutting back due to the drought. Primo Brands sent us a statement saying it, quote, manages its spring sources responsibly and for long-term sustainability, that hydrologists have determined Poland Spring isn't having a negative impact on their neighbors or the water supply, and that they comply with all regulations. But they didn't answer the question. Why, during a drought, are they taking so much water?
Poland Spring used to have a community office in that building. Shut it down.
Okay.
They tend to do that.
In the town of Fryburg, Poland Spring buys its water from a privately owned water utility. So far this year, Poland Spring has taken 21 million gallons more of water from Fryburg than it did through the same period in 2024.
They have a well that they pull from. Next to that well is a loading station where trucks pull up, and it takes 15 minutes to load up one truck that's about 8,500 gallons.
In 2012, Poland Spring signed a contract with the water company to lease land and withdraw its water at the same rate as residents for up to 45 years.
We had to appeal to the Maine Public Utilities Commission to get a hearing in our community. It was clear that it was a very unpopular decision to have a contract that would last for generations.
But all three members of the Public Utility Commission had ties to Poland Spring or firms that worked for them.
It took us a year and a half to get them all to recuse themselves from the case.
But the replacements on the commission approved the deal anyway.
Decisions were being made behind closed doors, and the public wasn't getting access to all the information about whether this was a good deal for their community.
Maggie O'Neill is a former state representative in the Maine legislature. In 2023, she introduced a bill that would limit the length of the contract and give residents approval over the process.
If a vote's taking place, they felt like there would be a lot more public dialogue and more opportunity to get information about the deals that were being made and whether that was a good idea for their community.
Poland Springs said publicly that the bill would, quote, make it unaffordable for them to do business. But their real efforts were at the State House.
Poland Spring had multiple lobbyists in the committee room, in the hallway, talking to legislators, and they worked hard to kill this.
Poland Springs been very good at locking in support from both sides of the aisle.
Last year, Poland Springs ownership changed again when Blue Triton merged with another company, Primo. Primo reported nearly $2 billion in sales in the third quarter, including almost $900 million from regional bottled water brands like Poland Spring.
Some of Primo's top investors include One Rock Capital Partners, one of the private equity firms behind Blue Triton, as well as BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity.
This is definitely a David and Goliath fight. It's a really big international company and small communities in a rural state like Maine, but it's not impossible.
We can scream all day for protecting our rights to water, but if we're not going to accept the responsibility that it takes to protect our water, then we're going to lose our rights.
As people in Maine worry about their future access to water, some are pushing for more public control. How much a company like Poland Spring can take, and who makes those decisions? People in Freiburg met last month to talk about buying the Freiburg Water Company and making it publicly owned. That's the company that signed the deal with Poland Spring.
There would be more control of the water resource to assure the citizens have adequate supplies of clean water into the future, with no profit margins being part of the equation.
We've got the short end of the stick, and we can't even assert ourselves and determine what we feel like's going to be best for our community.
Our families are here. I mean, animals, plants, everything needs water, and they're just pumping out water for their profit.
There's not a whole lot that can be done unless the state changes its laws.
Maine is one of just 3 states that has what's
Dude,
known
we're
as
gonna end up having to get
absolute
more of this stuff.
It lets landowners extract an almost unlimited amount of groundwater.
Absolute dominion law has also been described as the guy with the strong winds. Holding that law in place really protects landowners who have businesses that use a lot of water and puts their neighbors at potential risk.
This year, the legislature passed a bill to study the law. That study just needs to be funded by a council of state legislators. But as of November, that hadn't happened.
Let's take a look at the rule of absolute dominion and see, is it serving us? Is it good for water rights for everybody to be able to have this carte blanche rule on water extraction?
After her well went dry in 2022, Nina's friends and family raised the money to drill a well, which goes much further into the ground and isn't as prone to droughts.
So I was lucky that way, but a lot of other people aren't. No question in my mind that this drought that we've been in all summer, I would have run out of water for sure.
If we fail to take action, that's on us, and it's only going to continue to happen. There are going to be more wells where Poland Spring can take about as much water as it wants without consequence, and without Maine really seeing a benefit.
From the ground up in communities, when people become concerned about their water, it's not a partisan issue at all. When you realize there's a potential threat to your water, there's nothing that can bring people together more strongly.
10 wood, 20 iron.
Thanks for watching our video. And if you want more stories like this, check out our channel and like and subscribe. And if you have ideas for stories, reach out to us at stories@perfectunion.us.
You're in El Paso, Texas, right on the border. Oh, I'm going with you.
Yeah. This is not the United States. This is the buffer zone between Mexico and the United States.
Roughly 12,000 Mexicans come over every day.
Our chance to corrupt, do you agree?
Oh, this looks authentic. Chicken enchilada.
That situation was a true problem.
Did you also know that El Paso is one of the safest cities in America?
This is downtown El Paso. A bit ghostly here.
A lot of people are what they call the anchor babies. We grew up there, but we were born here.
I never thought I'd see this today in El Paso. Both your countries need you. Are you going to join the Mexican army or the U.S. Army?
We grew up this way, so.
Any issues being the minority here?
Absolutely not.
Did they make that mistake? This is like another country, which makes it so interesting, the fact that you can constantly explore. Good morning, guys. Here in El Paso, Texas, right on the border, and just past those tall buildings there is Juarez, Mexico. El Paso, a city many of us have heard of, but I think few of us know much about. So today we're gonna get out on the streets, into the downtown, into the border crossing area, into the rich hood, into the poor hood, talk to the locals, get a lay of the land, and a better understanding of what this city is like. Let's do this.
Oh, I think I got it, yeah. Dirty iron.
All right, guys, putting myself in the Mexican mood with some Maná. Cheesy lyrics, depending on your definition of cheesiness. She left me, she broke my heart, it's all over, my life's in shambles. Romantics. But hey, good music. They sound a little bit like the Police from back in the day, actually. All right, so we're coming up here on the border area. There are actually a lot of border crossings. I'm trying to figure out which one is the most interesting with pedestrians coming on over, but we're close. It's right up here.
One of the things Maine has going for it is its
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. If you guys are new here, we drop 3 a week now because apparently this is all I care about anymore. So if you guys can go over and subscribe to the platforms and check out the people that keep us going, Good Living and Ketone IQ, right there. They have amazing codes for you guys in the bio you guys can use, and I use them daily. They are something that I have used now for years and have supported not only me, the show, but my entire mind and body, and helping me to keep telling these stories and be honest about what's going on. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of mental strength, and it takes a lot of clarity to be able to read through a lot of really heavy things. And again, today will be one of those really heavy things. And I'm sorry, I know. You're like, Kelsey, just interview someone normal. Let us hear a story or two. And you will. In the next little bit, we have some great guests coming on the show. I'm recording 3 tomorrow with some awesome humans and another one next week with a story that you don't want to miss with the owner and founder of Silvercorp. But this one is actually a little maybe different for you guys. If you guys haven't heard or you actually read real articles or real things like our Substacks instead of trash magazines like People Magazine, you might have missed this one. So let me bring it to your attention because it's insane. And People Magazine are really, really used to just drumming up just disgusting stories and somehow becoming a part of the problem once again. A little while back last year, I think it was last year at the beginning of this year of 2025, you guys heard me talking about People Magazine promoting the death of
damn.
suicide
All right, I remember
by
what we got to do now.
going to Dignitas,
So now, now that we we've maxed out this as much as we can.
Leapfrog, yes, the kids' toy company, the educational toy company. He decided to go to Dignitas.
We maxed out everything that we have. I mean, all our armor's maxed.
But not in Canada.
Wait a minute, this is the helmet?
Nor should we really be accepting it anywhere else. And for Switzerland and those places that are supposed to be neutral in wars and other things, they seem to have picked up the eugenics bug pretty damn well since the 40s and kept that thing running. People Magazine itself is once again being the controversial bullshit stories as usual. But this time, they like literally saying this is insane. They went after a Holocaust survivor, guys. Oh, this one's gross. Okay, so they wrote a story about exploiting a Holocaust survivor who survived the atrocity of the Holocaust, who then decided to end her life with the same eugenics program that the Holocaust used, just in modern era under a new name. And they called it Dignified. I'm sorry, am I losing my mind? Or is that insane? That's insane, right? So I'm going to read you what they said. A Holocaust survivor has died by the same method that the Nazis used to kill millions of Jews. What?
Okay.
And they call this in our society somehow dignified
we
and
need to
peaceful.
go get some sap
Ruth
real quick.
Posner was 96 years old when she and her husband, by the way, both of them, Michael, traveled to Switzerland. Again, the Swiss, just killing it. Can't be just neutral on everything but murder. And they ended their lives through assisted suicide. According to People magazine, they were not terminally ill. Shocker, because that's not really what it's being used for. And that would actually mean that we are just killing people who are actually already dying. No, we are eradicating people who are a burden on the financial system. According to People, they were not terminally ill, like I said. They had their eyesight and hearing fading. Well, if you guys haven't noticed how loud I am 24/7, so are my ears, but I'm not going to go kill myself. They said that they were existing and not living. Still, again, trying to understand how you survive the Holocaust and then sit there and go, you know what, let's go do the same thing just a few years later. The act, because it was a murder, was carried out by another foundation, a nonprofit. I love organizations that murder people, that put themselves under nonprofit like they're doing something good. And really all it means is they're skating taxes. That facilitates nothing but death. So this is what's crazy. Can you imagine waking up every morning, sending your kid to school, being like, see you later, Johnny, love you, and then driving to a facility where all you do is murder people all day? Well, we have that in Canada. It's called Maid House. You can walk in and never walk out unless you work there. And even then, it's a little dicey. They have one on Vancouver Island. They also have one in Toronto. And then Dignitas, the one that everyone is so famously known for because they've been killing people now since the 40s. I don't know how, but that's where we're at.
Oh, I think we broke this one down. There's another sap
I sound
up
crazy
here
saying
more.
it, but I
Okay.
just want to repeat it. A Holocaust survivor who survived the human experiments, who survived the gas chambers, who survived, the crematories, who survived the labor camps, who survived the death marches, who survived being put in a pit and shot. They escaped the death mercenaries of the Nazis, later just to be killed by the same thing. But in modern day era, under a new name, as they were slow dripped that idea to be a good idea. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Good Livin'. I am so excited to tell you about something that's become such a meaningful part of my wellness routine, Good Livin'. Now, this isn't any brand. This is actually a brand I know all of the owners behind. And let me tell you, their integrity, their dedication, and their quality is the real deal. Their microdosing and functional blends are crafted with intention, and you can feel it. Everything is tested and made to support you in tapping into your own rhythm. We're talking about blends for anxiety, depression and stress, ADHD, brain health, inflammation, sleep, and energy. Seriously, they have thought of everything possible. I know firsthand how much love they pour into every single product. So if you're ready to check them out and explore more, go to itsgoodlivin.com. And trust me, it's a journey worth taking. That's itsgoodlivin.com, itsgoodlivin.com. And make sure to use the code HEALTHY and get 20% off your first order today. Because none of this is about legal technicalities, right? Because Switzerland's allowed this. It's a moral problem, right? So I struggle with the Swiss because I'm like, you guys are really good people and you're really, you're really neutral. But then on the death subject, you're like, let's just kill them all. And I just don't get it. Is it maybe that you didn't participate in the war? You didn't get enough killing, so now you're just on one where you're trying to make up for lost time? Because that's sure as hell how it seems. But the Nazis justified experimenting, and so does CanMap. The Nazis justified exterminating all of these people that were labeled entire groups that were unworthy of life. This began with the disabled. Oh my God, it sounds like we're talking about Canada. Let me be clear, still talking about the Holocaust. They also did it to the sick and the old and the unworthy of life, because whoever the hell gets to make that decision. And then they called it just eugenics. They used gas chambers and syringes in the same name of mercy and purity of progress, and the death was rational because according to the Nazis, that was fine. But in 2025, going into 2026, the idea that the same person who survived that horrendous nightmare of existence somehow thought this would be the idea. So Ruth survived the system. She fled the ideology that claimed probably majority of people around her didn't know her. This is obviously a story from People, so take it with a grain of salt. But decades later, she what? With the culture changing around her and embracing the same rationale, that life all of a sudden, because her hearing was going, that she should go kill herself at Dignitas? I mean, for God's sakes, she didn't go to Dignitas. She went to a different place. Don't worry, there's multiple places you can go to murder yourself.
Wow.
Oh, so when the aging couple, who was highly educated and very loved and financially stable, chose to die over decline, we should be asking ourselves what the hell we're teaching. Because if that idea is that things are getting hard, so we should just die, if that's where we're at, the societal bankruptcy is out of control, and nobody can really stop this at this point, because sick people are only going to make others sick. It's kind of like that misery loves company, and it's a real struggle to watch, because we're allowing this slow drip. It's like the frog in the boiling pot. I've talked about this before. Canadians are nothing more than frogs sitting in pots that are just about to boil over and won't be able to get out because they're going to melt to death in their own despair, because they're so smart and they think everything's so peaceful. And the autonomy that goes with that is a real problem, because of course your body, your choice. All the pro-lifers, but your body, you do whatever you want with it. I don't get it. But here's the thing. You don't get to take my taxpayer dollars and like everyone else I know's taxpayer dollars and say, you know what, instead of giving you an MRI to see if you have cancer, or instead of giving you chemo, I just twice a day, don't use that, use ivermectin. Instead of doing all of those other things to save your life and help yourself, you're like, you know what, the doctor said I should kill myself, so I probably should. I just don't remember when this was a conversation. I remember when people would say, you know what, life is hard, it's going to be, that is how life is. But when we have places like People Magazine, these ragtag magazines that are really only ever at dentist's office or a lawyer's office, and they're 9 years old and they're sitting there, and they're meant to just distract you, and they're basically, you know, visual forms of junk food, when they're brought into the culture of the lowest common denominator, people who are reading these often, they're going to slow drip the idea that this is an acceptable way to go. You're not supposed to just die on your own anymore. Don't you know that you should be murdered? That's the new standard of care. So when we look at our medical culture, we're not treating any aging disease. I just don't even know why we're even doing any form of research. What is the point? You're gonna kill us all anyway. And I'm not being dramatic or emotive, I'm being honest. You can't tell me that's not the plan, when the $1.273 trillion that they're going to save in the next 20 years to do it isn't on the table, and the 14.7 million Canadians, and the pushback at that number, I hear you, is that we don't even have that many Canadians. You're right, but we will soon, based on the immigration numbers and the illegals coming in.
We need to start, after this upgrade, we need to start finding the mines in the fucking Mistlands, because we need to get these 5 cores, so...
And in case you haven't noticed, it's everyone but Canada. So,
great.
Our second issue here is the social fabric, because we do nothing but, you've heard me say this before, we privatized compassion. So families are not ever getting the support they need if you don't have a lot of money, which is weird, right? Because Ruth and them seem to be financially stable. So who the hell was then teaching them that this is the right way to go? Better yet, do you not remember people doing suicide pacts in movies and people being like, that's insane, we don't do that. And now we're supporting it. Your husband doesn't want to live without his wife doesn't want to live without his husband, so I guess you go get killed together while you hold hands and they poison you to death?
Alright, to scale and
Medical procedure is like something I just had, where I got my ass knocked out and they fixed my knee and I woke up and I was better. That's not what this is. This is where you lie down in a bed, they put 2 IVs, around 14 gauges in your arms. You pray to God they don't actually fail, because that's just more stabbing, more pain. You're already nervous, your nervous system's already in a fight or flight, because you're realizing that you're about to kill yourself. And the body doesn't want to die, so it fights it. But you can't fight up against poison, not at those levels. And as they push them into your veins and they corrode and burn all the way through, and then they hit you with the paralytic. So you can't scream or say stop or I change my mind or I won't live. You're now facing what everybody thinks they can face until it comes right face to face with them, which is death. This episode is brought to you by Ketone IQ, and if you guys have not seen me drinking it, it has been behind me, it has been everywhere. But ketones, I want to tell you a little bit more, because you ask all the time, are a powerful macronutrient, and they cross the blood-brain barrier. They supercharge your brain, and not only do they do that, I have reported it consistency, my own sharper focus, and stronger endurance in next level performance. I use it before podcasts, for keynote speeches, and before I work daily with clients and when I get on my road bike. But this is not just that feeling good type ad. This is
Alright, so we've upgraded this. We need to, now we just need to go do that thing. We need to go find 5 cores.
19% increase in sprint power, 13% in more peak power, and 10% less fatigue. And the ketone levels spike 5 times in just 20 minutes. So when it comes to recovery, Ketone IQ improves blood flow, muscle oxygenation, and even boosts EPO, which is critical for your stamina and the bounce back factor. So if you guys are chasing that edge, physical or mental, Ketone IQ is the shortcut to getting into those zones. Do yourself a favor, go over to ketone.com and use the code Kelsey. You're going to save 30% off your next subscription. And I do promise you, ketone is no joke. Ketone fuels the flow. And I'm telling you, it is the best thing I have ever gotten into. Death is inevitable, but it doesn't mean that you die by someone killing you. And this will be one of those times in history we will look back and go, oh my God, we replayed the eugenics game again. And nobody seemed to give a shit. Except they made a ton of money, and the Pfizer companies and all the people making the drugs, even though they're non-FDA approved, seems to have no issue with killing all of these people. This one hit really hard, particularly because I'm trying to understand in a world right now that is struggling so much with anti-Semitism and what's going on in the questioning of the Holocaust and how it was done and who did it and how many people, excuse me, how are we so okay with a woman going with her husband across the world who just survived that same Holocaust to be killed by the same program? And then to have People magazine exploit it like usual, because that's what they do. And that's the cruelest irony of it. How do you survive a genocide, a real genocide, not one of these bullshit genocides? I'm talking about like the one that's actually going on in Nigeria, where they're killing like hundreds of thousands of Christians and murdering them as they run out of their burning homes. I'm not talking about the fabricated one where the enemy has hidden amongst women and kids and then screams genocide. No, no, no. I'm talking about the real ones, the ones that people like, I can't even say her last name, so maybe I shouldn't even say her name. I have a nickname for her. We'll just go with Anna. When you don't understand what a real genocide is and you only go off of propaganda, this is what it's going to look like for you. You're helping to facilitate things like this. The cruelest irony is this: when a real genocide happens and you choose the method of death that once inflicted the same amount of pain and death on her own people, and society applauds it and says it's enlightening. Should we not be questioning that? Should we not be looking at this and going, how the hell did this actually happen? Whatever happened to never again? We learn from history, Kelsey. That doesn't mean that we won't build the camps. I mean, Australia already did that during the Schmovid time. It means that we won't adopt a new mindset either. Because why would we if everyone is so okay with just accepting that death is the answer? When we can't support compassion without normalizing murder, because that's what this is. This is you giving up on yourself when things get hard. So because I'm losing my hearing and I'm getting louder, does that mean I should go kill myself? Because that's kind of what this says. She wasn't too old. Yeah, she was in her 90s, cool. But I know some people who were in their 90s. I knew some people in their 80s that were still roofing their own roofs. So relax. It depends on how you look after yourself. If you choose to be an asshole about your health, what do you think the rest of your last 20, 30 years are going to look like? That's why ketones work. Right there. That right there. That and lion's mane. They help your brain. They will literally help you with things like early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. You don't have to have it. It's diabetes number 3. You don't have to have your body deteriorate. Sure, it's going to break down. I'm right there with you, but you can still manage and look after it. You can use stem cells. You can use new research. You can use peptides. There are real ways to heal your body and your mind. But to act like death is the option, that's delusional. Now we're sick. Now we're promoting murder. But when a Holocaust survivor dies by assisted suicide, that's not a tragedy, that's a miracle. And when you look in that and you see that reflection, that should make all of you sick. And the fact that People magazine made a story on it to sell papers, to turn around and convince more people that this is the right way, this shouldn't just shock you. This should make you uncomfortable. In a real way, not in the ew, I didn't love that. In the way that this is wrong, something's wrong. We have to choose something different. Because our systems are failing us. As you age, our funding of care, or lack of, because I highly doubt any of our care will be available as long as Mark Carney has the purse strings. We have to stop selling death, though, as an act of freedom. And Ruth Posner's story should never have been a testament towards ending your life. It should have been nothing but a testament towards survival. It's not progress. We are regressing as a society. We are regressing when it comes to healthcare, and never again should always mean never this way again either. We shouldn't be accepting death as the answer. And I know that the show is turned into this MAID thing, but this isn't just about MAID. This is about looking at your life. Where are you at? How much healthier do you want to be when you get older? And if you are okay with this, cool, that's your way out. You don't get to do it in my country, under my laws, with my taxpayer dollars, and pretend like you didn't know what the hell was happening. A Holocaust survivor just got killed by the same thing that killed her whole family, and People magazine is applauding it. And that's just too much for me. That's too much, guys. So anyway, this is Wednesday, so I will see you guys again on Friday. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go do that little button. Boop. I see it all the time, and I do a happy dance when I see it. I can promise you, because I tell everyone around me, and it's obnoxious and apparently getting irritating. So the more you guys subscribe, the more I pay attention, and I am commenting and actually getting back to you. It's nobody else, it's actually me sitting down with all of these lovely things and getting back to you as quickly as possible. If you guys have stories where a family member, a loved one is being pushed into this, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have an email address you guys can email. It's just info@brassimmunity.com. We'll go through those, and if we have an opportunity, we will reach back out to you. And I am sorry if any of that has happened to you, but I do promise that there are real strength in being able to tell these stories and help people understand that you're not alone in this. And this is how we stop it, is by being vocal about it. Also, People magazine, you suck. Can you guys knock it off? This is terrible. I'm over you. Just stop promoting death. Like, no thank you. I'll see you guys all in a few days.
There is a force in our meat industry that you don't even know about.
This is the biggest story in food.
Josley and Wesley Batista.
Investigation for corruption. This is the biggest story for anyone who eats.
The Brazilian meat packer JBS has been steadily taking over the American meat industry for years.
The world's largest meat producer, Brazil's JBS.
This is a company that has been plagued with scandal.
Look at all of the recalls. Look at the child labor. Look at the payoffs and settlements.
Investigating whether Brazilian inspectors were bribed to clear tainted meat for export.
Price fixing allegations, wage fixing allegations, environmental desecration allegations, discrimination in their plants.
Despite all of that, the company just debuted on the New York Stock Exchange.
You are turning a criminal actor loose on American investors. This makes zero sense.
The government seems to have taken a step back from its regulatory authority. They've chosen cheap meat. Cheap meat wins over pretty much anything else in America.
But what is the real cost of cheap corporate meat? And what could it mean for the food we depend on?
Problem is, right now, we have set this up for a major collapse.
You're standing in front of our Angus Wagyu cross calves. We have a couple thousand head in this feedlot. Well, for an independent rancher, this is a good-sized operation, but in comparison to the industry, it's extremely small. The biggest feeders now are 100,000 head plus operations.
Mike Calicrate is an independent rancher. In over 30 years of ranching, he's seen just how much the industry has changed and gotten worse for small producers like him.
Out of this very facility, I used to sell to 20 meat packers at any given time, and that got down to 0. Why is it that U.S. ranchers are going out of business? It's for lack of market access.
Mike now operates Ranch Foods Direct, a vertically integrated meat business focused on local, ethical, and sustainable meat production.
As far as the number of folks in the U.S. that do what we do at Ranch Foods Direct, which are basically pasture to plate, there's hardly any.
Pasture to plate. That means Ranch Foods Direct raises the cattle, slaughters them, then processes and packages for direct sale. But that is not typical for most producers.
The biggest challenge in the production of livestock, if you're going to be selling meat, is that slaughter piece.
That slaughter piece, the processing and packaging that happens before meat reaches customers, is where just a few big meat packers are able to set pricing and squeeze the ranchers selling them cattle. Because of consolidation in the industry, ranchers have basically no other option but to accept, a problem Mike has been speaking out on for 30 years.
Because we only have 3 packers in the business today basically setting the price, we've decoupled supply and demand. So you don't have a high level of competition.
I don't
out there that
understand
will
this
pay
whole
you a
system with the
premium.
farms, man. I don't
Back
know, like,
then, the
can't they
Brazilian meat
pack their own
processing
shit?
giant
Like, what the
JBS wasn't even in the U.S. market. But now,
JBS is our biggest meat company in the world, and they're essentially a predator in the industry.
JBS is a particularly concerning company because there's been a history of over a decade of different bribes, over 1,800 politicians in Brazil.
Chloe Sorvino reports on the food industry and the titans who run it, like the billionaire brothers behind JBS.
Joesley and Wesley Batista took over their family's meatpacker in their 30s, and they set their sights on going abroad and going abroad as big as possible. And so they looked at the US to acquire assets on the cheap, and they ended up using bribes and a kickback-fueled corruption scheme to finance loans that helped them get some of the most iconic American meatpacking assets. They've pled guilty to foreign corruption practices and had to pay fines, have even had some jail time in Brazil.
Chloe's book, Raw Deal, traces the Batista brothers' rise and broader consolidation in America's meat industry.
To take a step back, America's antitrust regulations with the DOJ are created around this idea that the top 4 players in an industry, if those top 4 players have around 20 to 25% control together, that's a highly consolidated industry. And in the beef industry, you have 80 to 85% with the top 4. In pork, you have more than 70% control by the top 4. And in chicken, you have over 60% control by the top 4. So that pretty much impacts any American that is buying meat.
And JBS's IPO could just make all of that worse.
JBS trading means that it's going to have access to U.S. investors and pension funds and all of these funds that are putting more money in, and they will be able to finance better loans. They will be able to have more capital to do whatever they want with.
That means more money to fuel their acquisition spree, further consolidating the market, giving more power to the packing companies and less to the farmers and ranchers whose livestock will eventually end up there.
For American food producers, it means that JBS is not going away anytime soon.
I think it is important to look at the sheep industry as the canary in the coal mine, and I can tell you what will happen to the beef industry if we don't take action now.
Carson Jorgensen is a 6th-generation lamb rancher in Utah.
This was it. I guess there's not as many people now as there used to be with that connection and those roots, and it just makes for a different dynamic.
In 2001, Carson's family joined roughly 150 sheep ranching families that banded together to leverage their own power against the big meat packers.
Mountain States Rosin Co-op was a family-owned operation just prior to COVID. MSR was having some difficulties.
In 2020, as restaurants shut down and production lines stalled across the country, Mountain States Rosin filed for bankruptcy.
That being said, they had a buyer to come in and buy the plant. That was the plan. There was a Canadian company that was going to come in and buy it and process American lamb and keep it here in the United States. And that was the plan. Well, JBS owns the plant across the street. And JBS's contract with MSR was for the wastewater management and for the steam that it takes to run the plant. JBS wouldn't transfer over the wastewater contract and the steam contract to the new buyers because ultimately they wanted that plant, and they knew if they couldn't sell the plant, it would go defunct and they would end up with it. And that's exactly what happened.
After JBS converted the plant into a beef facility, sheep ranchers across the West were left with very few options for regional processing.
That was a really critical piece of infrastructure for us producers here in the western United States.
Many opted to go to Double J in Texas, a family-owned processing plant more than 1,000 miles away for producers in Utah, Wyoming, and Idaho. But Double J is now also at risk of closing, once again leaving ranchers with alarmingly few options for selling or processing their meat and scrambling for solutions.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's coming. You know the train's about to hit that car. And everybody's yelling and everybody's screaming, but there's just a lot of people sitting there watching it happen, and there's not much anybody's doing about it.
JBS going public would be the final nail in the coffin.
AJ Richards is an entrepreneur promoting regional meat systems.
Now for us, it's more of the mentality, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have.
AJ has been vocal with his concerns about what JBS going public could mean for ranchers and for our food supply.
Mr. President, I love you. I appreciate you. It is our
Bro,
job.
where the
as
fuck
citizens
is
to hold
it,
you
man?
accountable. And whoever you've got in your
You are
circle,
fucking kidding me.
they ain't speaking truth because you're about to put us in a whole world of hurt.
As the big meat processing plants have grown larger and gained greater control over pricing, it's become increasingly difficult for any alternative supply chain to compete.
We can't lose one more farm and ranch. And in fact, stopping the loss isn't what we have to do. We have to make a path so that more people can get into farming.
Most of the people I grew up with, they've gone bankrupt. The family farms are, they're not family farms anymore, which is sad.
JBS has been trying to go public for years now, but the company's alarming track record has prompted bipartisan efforts to block them from accessing U.S. capital markets, including a 2024 letter to the SEC signed by Cory Booker, Marco Rubio, Josh Hawley, and more.
Monitoring and watching this whole JBS IPO for the last couple of years, I was happy to keep seeing it get shut down.
But this April, the SEC finally
we need
greenlit
to
their
get outta
listing
here.
on the New York Stock Exchange.
JBS got the green light only a few weeks after they did give this big donation to the Trump administration.
And so, big surprise. A few months later, now the people that donated $5 million are going public and nobody's standing in their way.
Is a donation like that quid pro quo? I'm not sure I can be the judge of that, but what I can say is this is clearly a company and two billionaire top shareholders who have pled guilty and have a clear history of bribery, kickbacks, and corruption schemes.
Regardless of how they got there, JBS is now a publicly traded company, and that could spell danger for our food supply.
Meatpackers say that they have these massive plans so that they can have cheap meat made as most efficiently as possible. But at the end of the day, they're also creating this kind of underlying vulnerability because it's super fragile. I mean, if one plant goes out, one feedlot goes out, or a few of them go out because of a hurricane or extreme weather or, a pandemic, this is a system that has no life preservers.
So anyway, the carcasses come down and they go into the cut room here.
The industry's consolidation and predatory behavior from companies like JBS have made it increasingly difficult to build alternative food supply chains.
This is the place that the real investment occurs as far as meat processing. This is a vacuum packaging machine with a labeler, $135,000. The room is just full of this kind of equipment. And this is why not everyone can do what we do here in processing. It's really expensive to get into.
Even Mike's Ranch Foods Direct operation is only possible due to the financial success of another of Mike's business ventures.
We've got to absolutely control the predators in the market. And only government is big enough to do that. Of antitrust and breaking up concentrated power and wealth, which has always been considered the greatest threat to any free society. That's simply not happening.
JBS has skirted American watchdogs and the scrutiny of policymakers for years now.
But it's not just that nobody will stand up to them.
They're propping JBS up with millions of dollars in contracts every year. So that's meat that's going to public schools, soldiers around the world, nursing homes that are publicly funded, hospitals, and they've chosen cheap meat. Cheap meat wins over pretty much anything else in America.
But meat this cheap comes at a cost.
At some point, we have to look at it and say, somebody's trying to break this. And at the end of the day, it's just about money. It's about the bottom line.
Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like this one, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have any ideas for stories that you would like us to investigate, just drop them in the comments below.
There's a lot of national, well-known figures that are funneling a lot of money into our states to lobby for legislation like this. And I don't know if our community or if our state really knows how much money is going for this.
And check the campaigns and just the astronomical amount of money that came in that race and that we're seeing in this race in 2024. It's really alarming.
This spring, after aggressive lobbying efforts by billionaires, Nebraska became one of the latest states to pass a school privatization.
Lawmakers have passed a bill to give tax dollars to private education. LB 1402 would earmark funds directly into the state budget for private school scholarships.
The state gives families taxpayer money money away from public education.
School vouchers are essentially a public way to finance private education, be that religious education, private schools, or sometimes homeschooling.
We've seen other states who have drastically cut funding for their public education and the disarray that this caused. Schools literally not being able to open on time, teachers not getting paid, they weren't able to get books for their students.
Lawmakers in Nebraska knew it wouldn't be popular. It passed by only one vote and on the last day of the legislative session. But they went ahead anyway, sparking mass outrage in the state. Now people are fighting back with a ballot initiative to repeal the school voucher program. We went to Nebraska to find out how a couple of
Damn, this was
billionaires
literally right
engineered
next to
a
me.
legislative coup to defund public schools, and whether class Nebraskans can win an almost improbable victory to save public education.
Oh shit.
The battle began in 2023 with an innocuous-sounding bill called LB 753.
What that essentially did was it created tax credits that individuals who donated money to organizations that granted scholarships to private schools could claim on their income taxes annually. When the governor came in actually for the hearing on LB 753, he said this is just the first step. And so it was pretty blatant that that was the direction
How the
that they
fuck
were
is? Oh my god, he's in here with me. Oh.
Successfully gathered enough signatures to put that bill on the ballot to let voters.
I'm trying to just dig away from these guys. There's so many enemies right there.
What we found, Casa State.
I have two major enemies on me, but they can't get to me because I'm inside the skull. So I'm just gonna fucking mine as much as we can of the flesh because this is important.
And dropped all pretense.
The person who brought that bill, Senator Linehan, brought a second bill in the second session.
The second, LB 1402, was introduced a year later. It did away with the donation system and set up a typical voucher program, canceling the initial initiative.
It's kind of crazy because I'm stuck a little bit. I wonder if I could lose them.
Was to circumvent that referendum process and to sort of bypass the will.
Let's crouch a little bit and see if we
At
can
that
lose them
point,
because
had very clearly stated they wanted this on the ballot because
they're
they
like
didn't
on me.
want public dollars going to private education.
It wasn't so much that we had to do it again. It was the fact that our
Oh, hey.
legislators
What's up, man?
knew that the state wanted to support public education.
I'm trying to
and
get
they
soft
passed it
flesh.
anyway.
Why were so many Nebraska legislators so eager to override democracy and the wishes of their constituents? This may shock you, but there's a lot to do.
During my election cycle,
Oh
which
my
was
god, they're not going away. Oh
we
wait,
saw a huge
they may
influx
go
of
away
money
because
to the Nebraska
now they're not
And
aggro. They're like not searching for me. They're just in the area.
DeVos-funded American Federation for Children.
Betsy DeVos, Donald Trump's Secretary of Education, is the nation's leading advocate for school privatization. Her group gave $800,000 to Pliant state legislative candidates in Nebraska, where campaigns have never gotten that expensive. DeVos also had ties to State Senator Lou Ann Linehan, who tirelessly pursued these bills.
I think it's of
Oh,
note
now they're not looking for me.
Actually is working with the Nebraska Federation for Children, and now I think is also working with one of the scholarship granting organizations that's going to hypothetically be receiving this money if it's not overturned on the ballot.
This is a story playing out across the country. DeVos's group's
As soon as I hit this shit, they're gonna come right back though, cause
to elect pro-voucher candidates nationwide this year alone. And the money is coming from conservative billionaires like DeVos, Richard Ewing, and Jeff Yass. Remember him?
The left came up with this idea of income inequality. It's just the opposite.
In Nebraska, the billionaire family of former governor and current senator Pete Ricketts has also contributed big time to the voucher effort. Family scion Joe Ricketts also just so happens to own a bunch of private schools.
The bulk, if not almost all, of the private schools are religious affiliated. They're not secular private schools. So we don't currently have a network of charter schools or secular schools that have popped up like there are in other states. But absolutely, individuals who have the amount of money, like the Ricketts family, who could invest in those kind of institutions are the ones who stand to make money off of.
So why are parents and citizens so against the voucher scheme? There are a lot of reasons, starting with the fact that they're a disaster. In the last few years, states including Florida, Iowa, Indiana, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Georgia have all passed laws expanding vouchers. Supporters claim all kinds of things, that the aid is targeted at underprivileged students, that students can perform better, that the schools are more stable and more financially responsible, but there isn't clear evidence for any of these.
We have yet to see any study that shows that school vouchers are really moving the needle in terms of student achievement. In fact, the studies on vouchers show that students tend to achieve less going into voucher programs.
So it's been in effect now in a number of places for a long enough period of time that we have some pretty empirical evidence to say it's not going to help them.
In Indiana, the average voucher recipient's family makes nearly
Okay, I think this is all the
in Milwaukee, home
we
to the
can
first
get. There might
modern
be some
voucher
more
program,
under the ground
more
here.
than 40% of private schools receiving public money failed and closed up shop.
States are proposing and passing these voucher programs at frankly unprecedented rates in the last few years in a way that I think can be hugely damaging for public education.
Again and again, vouchers have proved to be more costly than their backers let on. And when states privatizing public education face budget shortfalls, that almost always means less money for public schools and public services.
I'm worried that the schools that are already struggling are going to struggle even more because they are just not going to be given or be allocated the funds that they could be because they're being shifted to funding a private entity.
There are a large number of counties, not just cities, but counties in Nebraska that don't have private schools. So you're talking about aggregating a bunch of taxpayer dollars from areas that can't actually benefit from this and throwing it into a big pot of money that's going to then be distributed amongst private schools that they're not going to have access to.
Only 21 of Nebraska's 93 counties have enough private schools to cover kindergarten through senior year of high school. So only a few communities would really have any chance to take advantage of it.
The impact on vouchers on rural communities can be particularly devastating because they have very few outside options. In a rural area, there will not be enough students to provide the
Alright, we're gonna have to
create
fucking
a
run
second
this.
school.
This isn't just
Once
an
I get out of here,
empty
we have to
word.
run.
Here's what's happening.
They wanted to go to a private school in 7th through 12th grade. Currently, they have to travel
Oh, get in here, get
65
inside.
miles from
Oh my God.
and that's one way.
And even if kids have a private school nearby, the history of school vouchers and how the programs are still run have been all about limiting who can attend.
Okay.
This new legislation doesn't require that private
I
schools
couldn't
have
run out. That guy's right in the fucking way.
So they can pick and choose who they bring in, and they can also pick and choose who they kick out. And so they are not required
I got two
to
enemies.
take
They're just
students
waiting
with
for me
special
outside
needs.
right
They
here.
are not required to take students that might require additional parent support or
One is a
additional
level
tutoring in the
2,
classroom.
and then
Some
the other
schools
one is
do,
a
but
big
they are not
fucking
required to
balloon
staff
guy.
a special education teacher.
All these private schools
Oh.
they have all this funding available to them, but
Oh, he's
are
only
they
level
gonna be
1.
held to
Okay.
the same standards of accepting English language learner students? Like, I just put myself in that situation. The public schools have to provide all of them. Private schools.
Damn it, dude, I'm
So
like
the
stuck
public
right there. I
schools,
cannot
they
get out.
reject them for either because
Okay,
they
here
can't
we go.
provide their services or because they don't want to provide them services.
Without any accountability, standards, or metrics, the fear is that Nebraska will be handing out cash to all kinds of fly-by-night institutions.
We've seen grifters come in and start institutions in an effort to just skim money off the top and not actually help students. And if we see that same thing happen here in Nebraska, it's going to be horrible for our kids.
Our community is pretty supportive of Catholic schools and private education, and I heard even locally how at Mass and at different Catholic churches you would have fathers or priests really telling people not to vote or not to sign the petition to keep public dollars in public schools.
Religious schools have been some of the biggest offenders in hoovering up money from public schools and states where these programs have begun to operate. As other states with vouchers have shown, the programs quickly suck up taxpayer dollars and actively hurt education efforts.
In Arizona, for
Alright,
example,
wow,
I
I'm
think they
surprised we
expected
made that one. I
vouchers
really
the
thought
first
we
year
were
would
gonna
be
die
around
for a minute.
30 million, and the second year around
I was able to
60
go
million.
at
In
the to the
actuality,
bottom of
in
the
that first year, I wanna say they were
of the
close to, like,
skull,
500
and then I
million,
was
and
just
the
hiding
second
in the
year, they
bottom of
ended
the
up
skull,
costing
and
upwards of
I cleared the whole skull
Teachers are already
while they were trying to look. It was so weird. The little balloon guy came up, and then he was like, I made a hole in the top of the skull, and I was inside there like mining it, and he just was right on top of the hole that I made, looking inside at me like he wanted to attack me. He tried to attack me twice, but he didn't hit me. He hit me once, but he wasn't really getting me. And then they ended up fucking bringing in one of those fucking bugs, a seeker.
When you look at the way the legislation is written, whoever runs these schools
Come on, man.
would take a certain amount of the money off the top. It's obvious that this is going to be a money-making endeavor for whoever tries to get involved in it. We've seen the same thing pop up in other states. When you see these strip mall schools pop up, with a bank of computers and really no actual certification,
Oh shit!
and that's incredibly
What the fuck
problematic.
is this?
Given how rapidly the budget for these grifts have expanded elsewhere, this November's ballot initiative to repeal the voucher program is Nebraskans' one real shot at avoiding these dire consequences. Grassroots activists are going to be severely outspent by the billionaire voucher advocates, but public school activists say the heavy-handed attempts to silence their voices, including a failed appeal to remove the measure from the ballot, has united locals.
As a state, as a collective Nebraskan people, we really do value democracy, and I think it was kind of a slap in the face when our senators decided that they didn't care about that process, and they passed it anyway.
It just shows that they know that people are not in favor of this bill. They're scared to let voters decide on this matter, and I think right
Because
now
it doesn't
it's just
profit
really
the
motivating
voters, so the voters don't.
to get registered
They
to
don't give a
vote,
fuck.
get in the know of what this bill means.
Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like this one, be sure to
Oh
like and
my God,
subscribe to
come
the
on,
channel
man.
to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have any ideas for stories that you would like for us to investigate, just drop them in the comments below.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Cook. I'm running for Congress here in the 3rd Congressional District. We'll see you guys. It's long days. You gotta get going
Yeah, I'll
here,
give you one
y'all.
of these.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Yeah, nice to meet
You know, I'll be working all day today on the campaign.
Hopefully you vote for me.
And then I work at 4 o'clock tonight. And then I wait tables until about 9 or 10 o'clock. And then I go home and go to bed. And then I do it all over again.
Rebecca Cook is a waitress from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And she's arguably one of the most important people in American politics right now.
We've got election coming up, so an important one.
Her election could decide which party controls the U.S. Congress.
Small business owner who grew up on an Eau Claire dairy farm.
The Trump-endorsed Republican Derek Van Orden.
Experts predict this year's race will be even tighter.
Alright, we made it back alive. Hell yeah.
Couple of years while I've been running for Congress.
Do we not have any more mop heads?
For me, it's necessary. I mean, I'm a working class candidate.
Alright, we got some fucking the
You know, I still have
flesh
to pay my
because
bills while I'm running.
I need to do a lot of this.
Cook
We
is
were
running
looking
in
for
purple state
fucking
in
mines
purple
the whole
district.
time, but I ended up
Wisconsin's
finding flesh
currently
instead.
represented
So
by
I
a
need to get
right-wing
5
Republican.
more of the fucking dark cores or whatever.
Congressman, I
And
don't know if there's somebody running against him or not.
Well, there is.
and I went out to
In
look
her
for it, and I
background,
just found
4-H
the skull,
champion,
and I was
a
like,
former
let's just
small
get
business
some of
owner,
the
and a
flesh
waitress
because we
is
need
not
it.
the typical path to the House.
I frankly believe that we need more working class voices in Congress.
At a time when the typical U.S. representative is worth 14 times more than the median American household, could the answer to reclaiming the People's House be running real working class candidates in contested districts? Rebecca Cook wants to be proof.
And I think that there's a lot of value in having working class voices in DC because failed policies are ones that we've lived.
This is my home. This is like where I grew up. This is the family farm that I was raised on. A big reason why I'm running for office is because of this place. So.
Wisconsin's dairy farmers face a crisis.
More than 400 dairy farms in Wisconsin closed last year.
A new report shows Wisconsin has lost more than 1,800 dairy farms since President Trump took office in 2017.
Like a lot of Wisconsin farmers, we had to sell our cows because of the price of milk and competition with larger dairies, which was tough. This is where for years and years our cows were, where we would come out and you'd have them like come into the barn. And it was really great work. Like my dad did everything that he did with a lot of pride.
And we've had a farm in this district for 150 years. So when you lose a business like that, it's not just losing a business, but it's a part of your traditions and heritage and your way of life. I'm running for Congress because I want to take on corporate monopolies that have really robbed us of those traditions and of our farming heritage.
The smaller family-run operations, 100 cows or less, and pretty much disappears.
Larry Bjork is a farmer in nearby Menominee.
I'll take up the silage pile, and then you can look around at the neighborhood.
From up on his farm, he showed us just how devastated his own community has been.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not milking cows, not having a family operation. One behind those trees, cook farm.
A lot of farms that used to be dairy farms, and none of them are dairy.
None of them are dairy farms.
None of them. And what are the forces that are driving people to do that?
You have to be in a situation where you
Okay.
can borrow money to buy more land so you can feed more cows.
You have to get big.
Just to get big to survive. And most guys say, the heck with it, and half said the heck with it.
How could we address that larger issue of monopolization?
Yeah, I think it's about enforcing antitrust laws. So you see a lot of hyper consolidation across the agricultural industry. Like right now we have 4 main meat processors, for example. And so ensuring that we can even the playing field so that we're keeping it competitive. You're always going to have the big guys. Big guys are always
So
gonna
we
be
gotta
here.
go
So how
back
can
into
we
the
make it
Ashlands
so that it
again.
evens the playing field for other people to be able to have a foot in the door, to be able to earn a living, and to be able to have the quality of life that they want.
But my grandmother and mother always took an apple to the northern Wisconsin state fair with a contest who had the biggest apple.
Gotcha. How'd they stand?
I think they did really well.
Yeah.
Larry has endorsed Rebecca Cook.
Well, Rebecca will be the only Democrat that I'll be voting for. I mean, I will vote for President Trump. I like his policies
Damn
from
it,
4
man.
years
I
ago.
feel like I need to make
and
a
I
base
really
here
like
and
his
just
vice
clear all
president.
this out.
And that's kind of the whole thing about a purple district. Wisconsin's 3rd had gone blue in every presidential election since 1988 until...
Fox News is projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of Wisconsin.
And even then, when Trump won the district, the longtime Democratic representative here still won this race. But in 2022...
A new face will represent Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district.
With an open seat, Derek Van Orden rode the Trump base to victory.
The one man that's gonna save this country, President Donald J. Trump!
Van Orden is best known for shouting lies at President Biden during the State of the Union, berating young Senate pages, and attending the Stop the Steal rally in D.C. on January 6th.
He's never lived on a dairy farm. He's never had to sell his cows because of the price of milk. That's a perspective that I bring. And if you want to try to win people over, maybe I'm that Democrat that does.
Because it's a calf that was born a week ago that needs me to get her on her feet, and then she can find where her breakfast is. Little wobbly yet, huh?
We asked Larry, a Trump voter, how she earned his vote.
The old thing on every political race is this candidate is most like me. If anyone would have knowledge on agricultural issues, it would be her. He's looking for the other.
What would it mean for you knowing someone like that would be representing you?
All right.
It would be real. It would be assuring to me. I mean, it even might make me a Democrat. Now that'd be really, hard to do right now. Here, baby.
Okay, so
Well,
we need to go down here. We need to get down here.
You know, it's interesting talking to a farmer like Larry. I just kept thinking all politics is identity politics. He's going to vote for Rebecca Cook in this race because he sees her as someone who comes from the same background he does, represents the region and the community that he's a part of, and he trusts her fundamentally to represent him. I mean, one way to think about the election in this district is how many Larrys are going to come out to vote for Rebecca. It's a video.
All right. So really quickly again. Hi, I work with Rebecca Cook's campaign. She's running for Congress here in River Falls. Are you familiar with her? Oh, okay.
Cook calls herself a moderate.
I'm running as a Democrat, but I'm pretty middle road Democrat. So.
What exactly is it for a candidate that's running on the PRO Act, reproductive rights, breaking up big ag, and raising the minimum wage?
I think a lot of the things that I'm talking about are not that far out there. I think those are like just kitchen table issues. Like if I ask somebody like, what are you worried about and what is keeping you up at night? They'd probably say, well, I have this really big healthcare bill that I'm worried about. The housing prices have really gone up and it's really tough to find a place to live. You know, when I'm talking about like housing and those types of things, it's not like it doesn't, again, just affect people that are Democrats. It's affecting everybody.
I'm Rebecca Cook. I'm running for Congress here.
I think that DC is full of a lot of career politicians and elites that are out of touch with regular working people.
In the last decade, working class support for Democrats has steadily eroded. Depending on how you see it, it's led to, or is reflective of, a party leadership sometimes distant from bread and butter issues.
You know, there's a member of Congress from my own delegation that looked down on the fact that I'm a waitress and that I work for a living and that this is what I do.
Thanks for calling The Good Wife so I can help you.
What do you make an hour working?
Yeah, so I make $8 an hour plus tips, but the tip minimum wage in Wisconsin is $2.33 an hour.
Great. I have you down then for 3 at 6 p.m.
Hourly wage work, that's important to me when I get to Congress, is to increase the federal minimum wage to at least $15 an hour.
Because I'm a server and bartender at my job, I think we get $4.33 an hour instead of $2.
Sarah Glassow works 5 jobs in Eau Claire to make ends meet. Babysitting, daycare, house cleaning, the farmer's market, and waiting tables like cook.
She talked about her mom having a heart attack and needing surgery and how much it cost. The same thing happened to my dad a little over a year ago, where he had to have a quadruple bypass and his medical bills are astounding. And just a short period of time, and thankfully my parents are in a position that they're able to pay off the bills slowly, but for some people that would be the step that leads them into homelessness.
You know, there's a lot of people like myself, I'm on the exchange and I have catastrophic health insurance. But that's what I am able to afford, and it doesn't cover much. So thinking about how can we improve the Affordable Care Act as it stands without totally blowing it up. We have to protect Medicare and expand Medicare to ensure that it's a social safety net that so many seniors really rely on. From my perspective, I think we need to expand it for regular things that deteriorate as you age, like hearing, dental, and vision, to expand that. My parents will go down to Mexico. They plan a once-a-year trip to get their dental work done because it's cheaper to do there than it is in our own country.
I like the idea of people that care about the working class, because that's what all of us are.
I've only talked to her at a county fair one time, and I says, are you going to be a Democrat that I'll think I made a mistake on? And she told me that she will be moderate Democrat. I don't think she used the term old school, but that was kind of the feeling that I was getting. Here, big brown Swiss heifer.
What does old school Democrat mean to you?
Old school Democrat means to me is that they are involved with working class people. And maybe an old school Democrat would keep us out of entanglements now. And now we seem to be so tied up in all these foreign things that we're doing that we ain't got enough money to help the people who just got clobbered for the hurt. I don't think an old school Democrat would let that happen.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to get more perfect viewing in the feed. And if you have ideas for other stories we should investigate, just drop them in the comments below.
Hey, it's Pat Mouth Morris from branch 226 out of Glencrest, Fort Worth. I'm new to the post office, but I ain't new to unions. I mean, we're all in the butt in this contract.
You're thinking, good God, man, where's this contract? And then when it came out, and see how little it got, it lit a fuse.
I drive a 20-year-old car. This got 270,000 miles on it. I got to park on a hill in order for it to start, just so I can get to work to not make enough to cover rent. Fuck this shit.
Where the fuck did that bug come from? Oh, I guess he's right near the base we're kind of in 3 biomes right now, so we're in the middle of like the Black Forest, the plains, and the
national
Mistlands.
media isn't talking about. The National Association of Letter Carriers represents over 225,000 mail delivery workers in cities and suburbs. And for the first time in 50 plus years, its members are revolting. Stoking the anger is the failure of top secret contract negotiations between the union's president, Brian Renfro, and USPS Postmaster General Louis DeJoy that left workers without a contract for more than 500 days.
During this period of time, he continues to tell the carriers it's taken this long because it's going to be historic. Just hang on, it's historic. That's been going on for 7-8 months. You know, it's coming out soon, and that was kind of the running joke.
People got kids going off to college, or now they're trying to buy a house, or they got a kid on the way.
My bills just kept adding up because interest rates keep going up. The amount of compensation monetarily that I'm getting from the post office just isn't enough. So I was doing my best to wait this contract out because it was going to be great.
You're thinking, man, if we can get up to like, 2.5%, 3%, 4% per year for 3 years, pretty good little contract.
I installed a shower here. Well, what happened was that one of my letter carriers, he was going through a bad situation, financial situation. He became homeless. And he came here, he said, I don't have a place to stay, I can't shower, this and that. The membership approved it, so I built a shower. Just for they could at least 5 minutes that they could come in and shower, give them some time, a breather.
The contract that Renfro finally took to members included a mere 1.3% raise for a job that starts out at $19 an hour for the first 2 years, in a recently created and mandatory position called a city carrier assistant. Those workers will make 20 cents more an hour. The highest earning workers get a mere 43-cent bump. The failure to deliver has already had a devastating impact on individual carriers, from Matthew in Cincinnati to those living and working in Brooklyn.
So we got this tentative agreement, and it wasn't what I needed. So, bankruptcy.
We're all looking for something as a win, because all of this looks like concessions. Why did this get worse? Why is this protection removed? Why is this position still here? Why this low percentage? Why? What are we getting for giving up these things? Nothing. 1.3%?
To so many carriers, that pittance of a raise is the embodiment of a much larger set of problems that have degraded a job that once guaranteed a solid middle-class life. That is the deeper undercurrent fueling this backlash. Over the past 30 years, the wages, the treatment, and the quality of life have gone from this to this.
Long unpaid hours and toxic work environments are crushing employees at the Bemidji Post Office, according to a longtime carrier who quit just last week.
Corey Walton, a letter carrier in Nashville, runs a podcast called From A to Arbitration, which has become a hub for angry, activist-minded letter carriers.
When I first started the Postal Service, and you told somebody that you worked for the Postal Service, you're rich. Your benefits, your pay, your retirement, and everybody has passed us by.
You get to be part of the neighborhood. You get to be part of the community. Someone's quinceañera is going on, and the family hands me a plate of tacos and offers me a beer. You know what I mean? I didn't drink the beer because I'm working, but I did take the tacos. It's a great job. It just doesn't pay what it should, and we deal with harassment and bullying from an organization that treats us as worse than disposable.
We have DeJoy. He's the biggest union bust in the world. And that's what he's done his whole life. So now he's going to come, and he comes out with a 10-year plan to change the post office, and little by little, he's eliminating jobs, creating all this other stuff that is just destroying us.
Rank and file letter carriers all over the country are speaking out about what has become
an increasingly untenable job with mounting risks to their physical safety due to the routes they take and the conditions in which they work. Attacks on letter carriers doubled between 2019 and 2023.
It's one of the more dangerous jobs in the country. You know, obviously you have your police, your fire, you know, doctors and nurses and things. We are now being robbed and murdered on the street for people wanting our arrow keys to get into boxes.
I've seen a woman get shot 7 times. That was pretty jarring. I've seen a little kid get mauled by a dog on one of my routes before.
Extreme heat has also been wreaking havoc on letter carriers who are tracked by management minute by minute through data on their package scanners.
We have no air conditioning in these vehicles. It's 130 degrees in those vehicles. Management started sending on these scanners, no brakes, no additional brakes, keep it moving, beat the heat.
That's exactly the message that 66-year-old Eugene Gates received in the summer of 2023.
The widow of a U.S. Postal Service letter carrier who died on his route Tuesday this week believes the job he loved is what caused his death.
Here's a guy who's never been disciplined. He's fixing to retire. And they bring
Oh,
him in
he's
there
fixing
and they
to
say,
retire.
Hey, you're getting this letter of warning for these stationary events. So what, in his mind, what is he thinking? I'm fixing to spend the rest of my life with my wife doing whatever we wanted to do. And instead of me taking breaks as needed in the heat, I'm going to skip those breaks because I can't afford to lose my retirement.
It later emerged that USPS management never gave Gates heat management training. Instead, a manager falsified the record to say that they had. It wasn't an isolated incident either. This happened to thousands upon thousands of carriers. These indignities are only being compounded by threats and harassment from mid-level management.
They don't get no respect. Management treats them horrible. The mandatory overtime needs to stop. A lot of people just want to work 8 hours and go home. We had a young lady right here that just said she's been out of work because she's battling breast cancer, and management puts her up for removal. The abuse, enough is enough.
They falsify our clock rings, our records all the time. They threaten to shoot and kill us. I had an arbitration about that. They assault us. I had an arbitration about that. And we'll have carriers out on the street working. Management will just clock us off. You know, just end our tour. Don't tell us we're out there delivering, not even being paid. We have to catch them doing that.
Damn, that's fucked up.
The union is constantly filing grievances and going
I
to
was
arbitration
talking
with
about like
management
people who
for
deliver
violations
mail
of
in the
workers'
U.S.
rights.
and
Their
some
anger over
states,
this tentative agreement has
they'll
led
be
to a
working
grassroots
and they're in the
no-no
middle of their
movement
job,
membership at all levels.
and then
Union
their
ran
manager will
John
turn
Cruz,
off
Brooklyn to
their
CCAs
time,
like Jonathan
like
Morris,
if they are
and
not working,
worse.
like if they left their
People are
job,
pissed.
but they're working,
And most of them,
and then they
they've
come
been
back and they
blown out
say,
their
"What the
voice
hell?
and
Why
falling
am I
on their
not getting
phone.
my money?" Oh, well, you were not working that time. And the guy's like, "What the hell?" You know? Like, of course I was working. I have to, you know?
The frustration is
They're just
largely
trying to
between
steal
the
money
union
from
and
them,
Renfro.
which is crazy. That's
Members
fucking
believe
insane.
that his personal issues compromised the contract negotiations. Early on during talks, Renfro all but disappeared for more than a month, offering no updates and setting a tone for what was to come.
I'm Brian Renfro, president of the National Association of Letter Carriers. 465 days ago, I made a decision to begin receiving treatment and start the road to recovery from the disease of alcoholism.
Addiction is an intense disease, and I have great respect for someone that wants to take care of themselves. But not when you have 277,000 employees waiting for you to do your job. You don't just ghost everybody for 30, 40 days, not put anyone else in charge, and then come back and throw yourself back into it again.
From the information that we received, he admitted that he was the one that did all the negotiation by himself without the executive council. At the rap session that I attended, he informed us that the post office didn't offer nothing. He was the one that made the offers.
The local leadership knows some struggles of carriers, just because we're local. But the upper echelon, even if they know, they don't care. If they did, they would have negotiated harder for a better contract. Because I was homeless for 2 weeks. And there are people now, they're still sleeping in their cars. They're putting showers in union halls because carriers don't make enough money. And it's a crying shame.
The carrier has kind of been abandoned in all this, and I think that that's where you see the frustration is, where do we go? Who do we turn to?
So far, they've been turning to one another with rallies in cities all across the country to convince their fellow letter carriers to vote down the contract.
U.S. postal workers from across Southwest Florida are rallying together today with a list of demands.
Letter carriers rallied together to send a message to the United States Postal Service.
We got a union that's incapable of doing a damn thing. And so those days are changing, though. Those days are coming to an end. We're going to go on the offensive in 2 years.
The workers say they plan to vote down this contract and take their chances in arbitration. Already, prominent union leaders are stepping up to run against Renfro in the 2026 National Association of Letter Carriers presidential election. They want to save their union and make being a letter carrier a viable career again because the bond they have with the people on their routes is as strong as ever.
It's not the agency people love. It's the letter carrier delivering their mail, bringing them their social security checks, bringing them their letters
we don't
from
want
their
to do that.
grandson.
Fuck.
That's who the public loves, not the management who sits in their chair abusing people all day.
Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like this one, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have any ideas for stories that you would like for us to investigate, just drop them in the comments below.
We need to talk about tipping.
From dine-in restaurants to even the vet's office, the pressure to tip has reached a tipping point.
What is the service that this tip is for?
Specifically, tipping in America.
30% of Americans think that tipping culture is out of control.
I don't tip. What do you mean you don't tip?
They don't believe in it.
Shut up.
Are you okay? Yeah. There's no escaping the iPad swiveled in your face. Is 15% enough? No, it's more like 20% now, right? I mean, I should tip more because I don't want to seem like an asshole. I'm not an asshole, right? Do I have to tip when I get carryout? I mean, I came and I picked it up. Has it always been like this? Breathe. It's not just you.
That's a good tip. That's 25%. What do you mean? Okay, just take Apple Pay.
The real reason tipping has gotten so frustrating is because your wallet is actually subsidizing the payroll for large corporate
Exactly.
chains across the country. Millions of workers in America are paid a shockingly low tipped minimum wage of $2.13 an hour. That means they have to rely on a customer's tips to make a living wage. The $2.13 an hour tipped wage has been frozen since 1991. And to add to
Wow.
that frustration, tipping laws are incredibly
This
confusing
100
and
years ago.
inconsistent. If you took a road trip across the country and tipped 20% everywhere you went, your money would have a radically different impact.
Oh no, I said
on
91.
workers
Oh, I
you're
thought they said
interacting with,
1919.
depending on
Alright,
what
my
type of
bad.
worker
I
they
thought she
are
said
and what state
1919.
they're employed in.
And I was
So
like,
even
damn,
if you're
100
trying
years
to do the
ago.
right thing, you and the workers you're trying to show appreciation
Alright,
for
fuck, I gotta
are
run
both
all
getting
the way
ripped
to the
off.
other
But
side
if
back.
everyone is mad,
Let's go.
why don't things change? Because there is one powerful lobby
Oh,
who's
wait.
happy with the way things are and has been working behind the scenes for over a century to keep tipping broken for all of us. In this video, we'll break down the history of tipping. We'll talk to the people on the front lines challenging the tipping norms and fighting for their right to a living wage. And we'll talk about who exactly
I have
is
so many
benefiting from the
Ashland's
broken
portals,
status
it's
quo.
fucking silly.
This is the classroom for more perfect union, and today we're talking about tipping. North America is the only region in the world that has this kind of tipping culture. And why is North America so behind? Basically, it can be all tied back to one lobbying group determined to keep workers and customers frustrated while they make more money for themselves. They're called the National Restaurant Association. They play a big role in all of this, and we'll get back to them in a minute, but first we have to go back farther and look at how the tipping practice arrived in this country. It's the 1850s, and rich
Oh my
Americans
God,
traveling
oh
to
my
Europe
God,
are
run.
taking notice of a unique custom here where aristocrats give their servants small amounts of money to acknowledge their work. They called it tipping. The rich Americans were like, whoa, that's dope, let's try this back home. But back in America, people were not into this tipping idea. The everyday barmaid was like, yeah, no, I have 4 kids and can't afford this. And the European immigrants were like, absolutely not. We just left this aristocrat nonsense and we are not bringing that energy here. The whole concept was seen as anti-democratic and deeply un-American. But in 1860, something big happened. Emancipation. Now there was this huge population of newly freed black men and women looking for work. White business owners knew they could exploit these vulnerabilities and pay black Americans as little as possible. They remembered that tipping system from Europe and they thought they might give it a try. Only this time, they were going to do it their own way. They thought, what if instead of paying these people a wage, we ask the customer to provide a small tip for their service, and then these workers can live solely off of that.
Why should it be your burden of responsibility to give me all this money?
In the restaurant and railroad industry, this became the standard, and the mutated American version of tipping was officially a go.
Tips had replaced wages.
But over in Chicago, the long hours and little pay for porters in the Pullman Car Company became too much. So after years of fighting and organizing under the leadership of Philip Randolph, they successfully created a union that guaranteed them a wage. It was an incredible win for these men. But not everybody was happy about this. Restaurants were taking notice of these workers fighting for a fair wage, and they didn't want this happening. So to ensure cheap labor, they banded together and formed the National Restaurant Association. The NRA's lobbying efforts were clear from the beginning. Pay workers as little as legally possible. Cut to 1938, hello Great Depression and economic turmoil. The government steps in with the New Deal and creates the first federal minimum wage of 25 cents an hour. Now all workers in this country were guaranteed to be paid a wage at the minimum, except tipped restaurant workers. They were left out of the bill. Why? Because of NRA lobbying. 30 years later, during the Civil Rights era, mounting pressure from the black community pushed Congress to finally address tipped restaurant workers making a wage. But instead of giving them the minimum, Congress added a tip credit that guaranteed these workers a sub-minimum.
Okay, man. I'll see you, dude.
This meant workers could legally be paid less than the minimum wage because
all right, brother.
The tips they got from customers would make up the difference. And if their tips didn't bring their take-home pay up to the minimum wage, their employer legally had to pay them that missing difference. Make sense?
Depending on what shift you end up with and what time of year it is, you kind of can end up pretty easily getting screwed by not having enough hours. Technically, they're supposed to balance it out anyway, but it can be a lot to expect and hope for if you're not already making a livable wage,
The sub-minimum wage stayed 50% below the federal minimum wage for decades until 1991, when tipped restaurant workers were making $2.13 an hour. That rate hasn't changed since 1991. Currently, right now, in 2023, nearly 20 states legally pay tipped restaurant workers $2.13 an hour. Others pay just cents more than that.
When you are paying sub-minimum wage, your workers are living in poverty. That's just the bottom line. I was living in poverty. Your rent is $1,500. So you have to hustle, put up with all kind of sexual harassment, put up with all kind of everything from your boss, from your customers, so you can make it.
Do you know what it means when somebody pays you minimum wage? You know what your boss was trying to say? It's like, hey, if I could pay you less, I would. But it's against the law.
The sub-minimum wage doesn't just apply to tipped workers. It also applies to people with disabilities, youth, and those who are incarcerated. In Alabama, for example, workers under the age of 20 can make as little as $4.25 an hour for their first 90 days of employment. These people are doing the same work as everybody else, but they're being paid less purely because they're younger. Only 7 states mandate that all workers, regardless of tips, must be paid the full state minimum wage. Why so few states, you might ask? The NRA.
From my cold, dead hands.
The other NRA. Today, the National Restaurant Association is driven by large corporate chains, and they spend millions on political lobbying that makes the lives of restaurant workers harder. The NRA's lobby is so massive, it's really hard to explain just how deep they're in with Congress. Here's one example. Remember how I mentioned the sub-minimum wage?
Damn it! I gotta go back into the fucking Midlands,
That's because of
man.
Herman Cain.
Is this a great country or what?
Today, I am announcing that I am running for President of the United States of America.
Before he ran for president, he got his start working as a mathematician for Coca-Cola, then managed hundreds of Burger Kings, and eventually became CEO of a popular pizza chain.
Enjoy your Godfather's pizza.
His junk food career path led him to become head of the National Restaurant Association. In the 90s, he struck a deal with Clinton and the Democrats, saying they could raise the overall minimum wage to $5.15 as long as they kept the sub-minimum wage frozen forever at $2.13 an hour. And that's exactly where it remains today. Frozen. You know, never mind the fact that you can't even get a coffee at McDonald's for $2 anymore, but whatever, moving on. This same kind of deal happened in New York when they raised the minimum wage to $17 an hour and left out tipped workers. This is what the NRA fights for, and where does their large lobbying budget come from? Some of it comes from the membership dues paid by the chains like McDonald's and Starbucks, but a lot of it comes directly from the wallets of the workers they're exploiting. A New York Times investigation showed how the NRA's lobbying budget has come from charging millions of waiters and cooks mandatory food safety courses. That means workers have been unknowingly giving their money to a group that acts directly against their interests and lobbies to keep their wages as low as possible. Okay, but what does the NRA have to say for themselves? The NRA plays a very clever trick. They pit the livelihoods of small businesses and tipped workers against each other, as if the two are always mutually exclusive. They like to claim that mom and pop restaurants simply cannot survive if they pay their employees a full minimum wage. It's a fear tactic that works because who doesn't want to protect small businesses? They're leveraging the vulnerabilities of small businesses to spread their agenda and keep wages low. The reality is consumer spending is higher when people are paid more. 2 one-fair wage studies compared California, which is a state without a sub-minimum wage, to Maryland and New York, which are states with a sub-minimum wage. The study found that California had the highest rate of restaurant sales. California also had a larger small business growth rate in the restaurant industry compared to New York. And what's crazy is the NRA knows small businesses can survive if they're paid higher wages. They know this. During a shareholders meeting in 2021, the Denny's CFO told investors that the California law raising the minimum wage to $15 actually improved business.
They had 6 consecutive years of positive guest traffic, not just positive sales, but positive guest traffic as the minimum wage was going up, putting money into the pockets of our consumers to send back with us. So we actually have seen the benefit of minimum wage in a tempered way.
This means that after years of fighting against minimum wage increases and insisting doing so would kill restaurants, these restaurants in the NRA were actually like, never mind, we're good, actually, we'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about here. Another talking point the NRA has is insisting that with the tip credit, workers never actually make $2.13 an hour, and that employers who allow this are breaking the law. Over a third of tipped workers report their tips and wages did not bring them up to their state's minimum wage. The U.S. is the only country who has a tipping system like this. This is a uniquely American problem. There is good news in this story. We are in an extremely historic time for workers. Let's go back to Chicago, the same city where the Pullman porters unionized almost 100 years ago. The Chicago City Council is about to pass legislation that would phase out the sub-minimum wage there. That means tipped workers in Chicago will make at least $15 an hour with tips paid on top.
Oh my god, this is why this shit is so fucking difficult, man.
When one fair wage passes here in Chicago, it's going to be national news because it started here.
The One Fair Wage Ordinance had so much energy behind it, from workers to local aldermen to Mayor Brandon Johnson, that even the Illinois Restaurant Association came out and supported the move, securing a compromise to phase the wage increase over 5 years. And the NRA is furious at the IRA. I mean, if I was the NRA, I'd be furious too. Think about it. Chicago is the largest American city to independently phase out the sub-minimum wage. This could have a huge impact across the country. In over a dozen states, there are bills moving right now to push for the same thing. Over 1 million workers have left the restaurant industry, and 80% say the only thing that would bring them back is a full, livable wage guaranteed by law.
I love what I do. It's passion to see somebody happy, or you fixing something that they like, you know, and they enjoy it.
Restaurant owners, most of them do want to treat their workers right, do want to make sure that they're taking care of their workers. If low wages is a higher turnover rate, higher wages is a low turnover rate because it shows that you actually care about your workers.
There's a way to get this done where the CEOs, leadership, are not the only ones that can feed their families and go on vacation and enjoy life.
And so now workers have a choice. There's no going back to sub-minimum wages. Now it's just paying it forward for us and the next
This is just getting crazier.
We will come back to work because it's livable now.
So, should you stop tipping? No. Tips are a great way to appreciate workers providing you a service on top of their wage, but they shouldn't be used as a replacement for a living wage.
That means I want a $15 an hourly wage on top of my tips on top.
We started this video complaining about how frustrating tipping is in America, and we learned that the reason it's like this is directly because of how tipping started and the fact that we use it as a replacement for a wage. The only way to fix this is to reapproach how we dine out. The responsibility of a wage should not be on the customer. We have to eliminate the sub-minimum wage and pay people fairly. Before you go, please support our work by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching The Classroom. We're always looking to tell more stories like this one, unpacking economic systems that people
This shit is
have
getting
already
wild right
lives.
here.
So what other issues do you want to
There's
see
so
covered?
many enemies right here. It's crazy.
Comments, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe.
I want the
In
Seeker's
2021,
loot.
Jeep launched a new car. It's a classic Jeep model,
With the Jeep Wagoneer, you can do better.
reimagined for the 21st century. It was supposed to represent the future of this beloved brand, but the Wagoneer didn't exactly live up to the hype.
Damn it.
It took about 5 hours for me to discover the first problem with it.
Jeeps are changing, and customers are starting to notice.
Worst decision of my life, terrible purchase.
Now, this is why you never buy a Wagoneer. Look at this huge water lake.
Bruh, don't buy this shit.
What Jeep in the world is worth $115,000? And they say that's a sale.
You can go in and look in the showroom and say, hey, this is a beautiful car, but I know, hey, we probably sent out a lot of garbage because we refused to stop the line and fix certain things that need to be addressed.
So how did Jeep go from making iconic American cars to ones with mechanical issues fresh off the lot? The answer is bigger than just one car or even one brand. It's about a multi-billion-dollar company.
The situation at Stellantis is, I think the technical term, a mess.
And a business strategy that's turned out well for shareholders at the expense of almost everyone else. This is Matt, a longtime Jeep customer.
We like being in the Jeep family. We wanted to keep it that way, and the new 2022 Wagoneer came out.
Matt thought the Wagoneer would be an upgrade from his Jeep Grand Cherokee, but
Okay, we
almost
need to get the
immediately
fuck
he
out of here. I'm
found
getting
that
tired of
wasn't
those
the
little
case.
mites.
So, we look at the older Grand Cherokee. This car is almost 12 years old, and it's made of steel. It's a steel stamped part. We move over to the newer Wagoneer here. It's made of plastic, the whole thing.
Jeep has been building popular American cars since 1941, but in 2021,
What the
Jeep
fuck?
became
That fool
part
didn't drop
of a
any
new
loot or what?
global automaker.
Big announcement in the auto industry tonight.
The merger of FCA and Peugeot creates the world's fourth largest automaker, Stellantis.
Stellantis is basically three semi-non-functioning national automakers combined in one. In North America, you have Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. In Italy, you have Fiat. And then grafted onto that, we also have the French national automakers of Peugeot, Citroën.
From the outside, the launch of the new Wagoneer looked like that of any other car. But it marked a critical turning point in how Jeep cars would now be made under Stellantis.
So I've worked at Chrysler, Warren Stamping, for 31 years. When Stellantis bought us, immediately I saw the difference. There was an immediate slash of funding. Money became the top priority.
Stellantis CEO, Carlos Tavares.
Carlos Tavares is an interesting character in the automotive world. He worked under a very charismatic, famous executive called Carlos Ghosn.
Carlos Ghosn made headlines in 2019 for escaping house arrest in Japan.
Carlos Ghosn has fled house arrest.
How exactly did he arrange to leave Japan?
But before all of that, Ghosn had a different reputation.
Carlos Ghosn was famous for cost cutting.
Tavares worked as Ghosn's second-in-command at the French car company Renault. As Ghosn's protege, Tavares soon earned himself a reputation for being able to turn around struggling brands and deliver profits for shareholders.
Yes, guys, I think
Carlos
we found
Tavares
a
has been
random
clear
one.
from the beginning that his goal in the larger Stellantis organization is to make it efficient and to make it function at almost any cost.
Cost reduction is not becoming a taboo anymore. We have been working hard on cost reduction for many years. We have not been so popular, but now everybody recognizes that the customers want affordability.
The first place
We might have
Stellantis
cleared
started
this one
pinching
already.
pennies was in manufacturing.
I think
There
I
were
cleared this one.
always what they called time checks.
They look at it and they say, hey, well, one person could really just do this job.
They figured that the less people doing the same job they could get, that was the more bang for their buck. We went down about 400 people on temporary layoffs.
Maybe no.
So we went from almost 1,000 people in the building working to less than 600.
In just its first 3 years as a company, Stellantis cut roughly 40,000 employees globally.
Stellantis announced it will lay off more than 1,100 workers.
Layoffs at Stellantis and thousands of jobs are on the line.
In the US, one of the most drastic cuts was the decision to idle a factory that had been around since the 60s.
One of the state lines, the largest employers, announces it's shutting down.
Tuesday is the
Oh, shit.
last
Run,
day
run,
of
run,
production at the Stellantis Belvidere assembly plant.
You know, people move to Belvedere for this. This has always been the heart of Belvedere.
The community at Belvedere has lost millions of dollars in revenue. The barbershop, the McDonald's, the car wash, the gas station, that was 2,500 people or more that went past those businesses every day.
Then there's the workforce at Warren Truck, where the Wagoneer is made, which is almost half what it was in 2022.
Stellantis saying they plan to lay off roughly 2,450 workers.
But for Stellantis, the cuts meant one thing.
During the pandemic, the profit margins for Stellantis, even with everything happening in Europe and everywhere else, were huge.
In 2023, Stellantis made $18 billion in profit and paid out nearly $7 billion to shareholders, 53% more than the year prior. Tavares took home almost $40 million, 479 times as much as the average employee.
He himself take home the big, excluding Elon Musk, the biggest paycheck of any automotive CEO in the world. But then what happened?
Workers wanted their share of the profits too. Union workers at Ford, GM, and Stellantis went on strike in 2023 and won unprecedented gains, including a commitment from Stellantis to reopen Belvedere. For a moment, it looked like Stellantis would have to stop making cuts and invest in the workers who made its profits instead. But that didn't last long.
Oh, I have been in here.
Stellantis had a Wile E. Coyote running off the cliff. And so long as Stellantis didn't look down, they were fine.
Damn it.
Stellantis had not only cut expenses, they had also raised prices by a lot. By 2024, Jeep cars went from being priced below the industry average to $6,000 above it. And during the pandemic, when cars were in short supply, that worked.
After COVID passed and we were the highest priced vehicles, you knew there had to be a problem in the very end, and we saw it.
After the pandemic, Stellantis kept prices high, which meant people weren't buying their cars.
There's a thing called average selling days. And this is how you look at how quickly does a car get sold and how many of them do you have. And you get at a number. And the Stellantis brands have all been so high that they're either at the top of the graph, they've been on the lot for 140 days, 150 days to move all the cars. Or with Ram, actually, they had so many trucks, they were selling so slowly, they didn't fit on the chart.
Once affordable cars had become out of reach for many Americans and for the workers who built them.
It's insane. I don't know what Stellantis is smoking to think that this is going to sell in America. This is what people want from Jeep.
But this was by design. Stellantis executives wanted its cars, especially ones like the Wagoneer, to tap into high-margin luxury markets, rather than being mid-range cars like the Jeep models that had served Americans for decades.
The 2014 Grand Cherokee had a sticker of 46. 2022 Wagoneer had a sticker of 80. This is almost doubling the price.
With prices this high, customers expected a quality car.
Every 15,000 miles, these tires wear bald on the outside edge. It takes like how long to get to that screen?
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. There was like a mouse squeaking noise coming from right up by the windshield and in the dashboard, and within a couple of days I was noticing vibration in the steering at highway speeds, and just not problems that you would expect on any new car, let alone one that costs $80,000. That's like not good. I would not buy another Stellantis product. I think they've gotten to a point where they're marketing themselves as a premium option, and you can see that in the pricing. And maybe that would be okay if the product delivered on the promise.
I don't think we have a standard of quality anymore. First of all, they're buying cheaper materials. Some of the times our product does come out looking like it's been on the road for 7 years already. I just don't know what the management style is right now. We're not producing what we used to and how we used to produce.
The relentless cost cutting that let Stellantis grow its profits was starting to backfire.
And so I think it does make sense in a larger perspective to try to be efficient as a company. But if you're efficient at the sake of producing cars that people want, if you're a car company, that isn't.
Oh shit.
But rather than pull back on the cuts, Stellantis seems to be doubling down on this approach. So far, the company hasn't followed through on any of the $18 billion in investments it committed to make in Belvidere, blaming poor market conditions. When we reached out to
my
ask
God,
about
are you
this,
kidding me?
Stellantis told More Perfect Union it remains firmly committed to the U.S. and will continue to abide by the 2023 UAW collective bargaining agreement.
The promises about the Belvedere commitment have not come full circle at all. What the company is saying is that the climate is bad, sales are down, but we seem to be the only company like that. Isn't that peculiar?
You're looking at Ford and looking at General Motors, and they're not experiencing the same hardships we are. It's evident that it is something that we are not doing
that
right.
shit wears me out.
In fact, revenue is up for both GM and Ford.
It's too much work for like nothing, dude. Like you have to run around forever.
But despite the decline in revenue, the company still managed to pull off roughly $2 billion in stock
dude, this shit gets
buybacks
after a
this
while.
year,
I'm so tired of it.
all while slashing jobs in almost every area of the company. It's giving workers a sense that the worst is yet to come.
Warren Truck laid off 1,200 people, up to 2,500 people coming up, to move a vehicle to Mexico. The vehicle wasn't discontinued. The vehicle didn't stop production. It just moved it. The same thing that looks like it's going to happen at JNAP with the Durango. It makes no sense, and it is taking good jobs overseas to look for the lower production rate.
After months of rumors, Stellantis confirmed they're expanding production in Mexico. The United Auto Workers are worried it's a sign the company could be looking to move all production out of the U.S.
I'll come back later.
What are we left to do?